Hello, this is Mole Man in the morning. Good Mole Man to you.
Hello and welcome to Mole Man in the Morning.
Good moment to you! That was
What's that
my
meant to be?
Homer version of... It was Homer going to college, saying on his college campus radio, good moment to you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
Nailed it.
I
Nailed it.
I got
Fucking
that.
nailed it.
You captured it perfectly.
I thought
Yeah,
so.
nailed it. We are Mole Man in the Morning. We are a podcast about how The Simpsons has a lot to say about society. I am your host, John, and I am joined, as always, by my two charming co-hosts, Matt
Hello.
and Michael.
Hardly ho, podcasterino.
I need a catchphrase.
We are also joined by a special guest this week. We've got the one, the only Josh Boerman from The Worst of All Possible Worlds.
Howdy. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me. This is when I saw that I had the opportunity to recap Cape Feare, I was like, let's go. I'm really, really excited for this one.
Everyone's
Excellent. Good
hyped for a
stuff.
Sideshow Bob episode. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just a fact about Simpsons.
Yeah, when I invited Josh on, I kind of led with Sideshow Bob mainly. I was like, do you want to talk about Sideshow Bob?
Well, in Cape Feare specifically. I mean, like, it is well known, obviously, as one of the best regarded Simpsons episodes of all time. But it is also the inspiration for one of my favorite plays, which I don't know if any of you are familiar with Mr. Burns, a post-electric play.
I didn't know this was a thing, and I now need to know more.
So it's a brilliant play written by Anne Washburn, and basically the gist of the play is that it takes place, the first act is like pretty soon after a global apocalypse has occurred, and there are these traveling troops of performers who will basically perform TV shows and other things that existed before the crash, and complete accurate scripts have become the hottest commodity imaginable. If you can compile a complete script of anything, that makes you, the King Kahuna or whatever. And then the second act takes place a little bit after that, and now elements of the real life of these people have sort of become incorporated into the retelling of the story of the episode Cape Feare. And then the third episode takes place, or the third act, takes place after society has been fully reconstructed, basically. And this Cape Feare / these guys performing their story, which has now become combined together, has become a fundamental operetta that now is one of the defining texts of the new civilization.
Amazing.
Holy shit.
That sounds
That's
fantastic.
It's
That's
really
an
good.
incredible concept.
It's really, really good.
Okay, well, if we ever get to the point where we're doing bonus episodes, there's some fodder for us.
We'll just have to do the podcast in the theatre.
Yep.
Yeah, live
live.
show. Mole Man in the Morning live show. Let's make it happen. So yeah, if you hadn't guessed, we are doing Cape Feare. We are treading on into season 5 this week. We've got episodes 2 and 3, which are Cape Feare and Homer Goes to College.
Hope they're better than the last ones.
It's Cape Feare, come on.
Yes,
Come on.
I know. It's not hard to be better than the last two.
Yeah, so I haven't quite got over Matt's hatred of barbershop.
It wasn't good. It was boring.
Wrong.
Both those
Oh my
episodes
God,
were
you are
boring.
so wrong. What?
It was so boring.
He does not
It
like
was
the
so
barbershop
boring.
episode.
I was amazed that they chose to end season 4 with Krusty Gets Cancelled, which was so mediocre, and
That was
then
mid at best, yeah.
open season 5 with the Barbershop Quartet one, which was just, again, pretty mediocre.
I mean, in an interesting twist, actually, Cape Feare was intended to be the closing episode of season 4, and then the stuff got switched around.
That'd
Okay.
have been a great season finale.
Wouldn't it? Before we get on into either of those episodes, let us talk, as we always do, about what we're drinking.
Yay!
Josh, as our guest, are you drinking anything interesting today?
Yeah, I got myself a Dr. Brown's cream soda. I don't know if any of y'all are into cream sodas at all, but
I love cream sodas.
let's get the little. I'm about to open it. Here we go. I'll open it on mic.
Hey.
Nice.
There we go.
Oh, man after my own heart, knowing to open it on mic. Hell yeah.
That is some good shit. And I'm also consuming a sandwich. I got a large Italian hero, which is just fantastic. I'm doing my best to just take little bites so as not to throw off the vibe of the recording.
We appreciate that.
It's more.
What are you drinking, Matt?
I have committed a crime. So,
Ooh.
I have taken
Okay.
the amazing, wonderful dunderhead that John got me as a wonderful gift that is delicious, and I have put it in some fucking Tango apple sugar-free for the fun of it.
That
So,
does sound like a crime.
Let's see if this tastes fucking awful. Let's find out.
Oh, is this actually your first sip here?
That's actually really nice. I mean, it's rum mixed with a sugar-free, fruity beverage. It's actually fucking delicious. So,
I've got a backup beer in my fridge, too, for later on in case I need it. So,
Nice. Michael, what you got?
I'm drinking a Thatcher's Blood Orange cider because I know it will annoy Matt to no high end.
a what? A what? What?
A blood
Blood orange cider.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds foul, man. No, orange in. I mean, I don't like cider in general, so I can imagine an orange cider's like alright, but orange in like beer and stuff is fucking foul. Although when I was in America, I had a s'mores ale, and that was actually really good. It was just really like sugary and sweet, which I'm totally down for.
I mean, I will say
Okay.
there is a fantastic sour. That one of the best sours I ever had was a raspberry beer that was brewed with coffee, and it sounds
Ooh,
like
that
something
sounds
that
interesting.
shouldn't work, and it worked, baby.
I mean, coffee
Oh,
doesn't work for
okay.
me in general. Devil's water.
Blimey.
It is. Coffee's awful, man. I love the smell. I love like coffee candles and stuff, but nah.
What are you drinking, John?
I've actually got a normal beer for once to not annoy Matt, mostly just because I actually wanted it. Tenby Brewing Co., local brewery, Hammerhead, which is their West Coast IPA. It is entirely decent as a beer.
I like Hammerhead. I've
that
had it
is
before.
fine.
That's nice.
Curious about the British conception of a West Coast IPA.
Bitter and hoppy.
Okay, yeah. I guess it is sort of like, yeah, there will be an American attempt at like a Pilsner or something, and it's like, well, this isn't technically brewed in Pilsen, so makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that doesn't have like, it's not like champagne where it has to be in the region. It's just
Right.
just the style, right? You're gonna get me going on drinks nerd. I'm a drinks maker by trade, so you will get me started on nerdery if we get into the nitty gritty there. So maybe we should launch on into Cape Feare before I start.
Hey,
You want to-
beer.
Do you want to go through what happened?
Let's have a look at what happened on October 7th, 1993 first, for that was the day it aired.
Alright, so the cheery headline I'm starting with. Massive Muslim demonstration in Xinjiang, China, ends with 12 people killed. Yay.
Grim.
I am just more like, I don't know if this is just my little sheltered world. I'm just genuinely surprised there's Muslims in China. That's kind of. But religion's fucking everywhere. Like every religion is demonstrated somewhere in everywhere. So I'm just more amazed.
Yeah, it's a
that there's...
massive religion and a massive country.
Yeah, but I don't know. But you know, with China and its whole like very traditional and authoritarian vibes, you never know. They might just be like, no, there's only one religion. I don't know enough about China apparently.
Well, China, I mean, it's the mostly Xinjiang province in the west, and that's where the Uyghur minority is. And there have been stories about the Chinese government taking people there and putting them in re-education camps or whatever. I have no way of knowing how true that is versus how much of that is U.S. State Department propaganda. But it is there is a history of like. Well, we're not here to talk about the ethnic tensions of China today, I suppose.
In fact, I have a friend that wanted to smuggle Bibles into China.
Oh, God.
What an odd man.
Is your,
Interesting hobby to have.
is your friend an asset of the United States intelligence community?
We have absolutely no idea. All I know is that he was slapped in the face by someone I'm not going to name on the pod, and he gave up the idea afterwards.
Probably for the best.
Moving on to the lighter side, the UK #1 was Relight My Fire by Take That featuring Lulu.
Relight my fire.
And
Yeah.
the US number 1 was Dream Lover by Mariah Carey.
Nope.
I've actually heard of both of those songs once.
How does that one go?
Oh no, I'm
You put yourself on the spot
want
there,
to be asked
Michael.
to sing something.
I've just realised I'm not thinking of the right Mariah Carey song.
Yeah, I know Mariah Carey. I don't know Dream Lover.
Yeah, no.
I think I know it.
I've
The one
got
I was
Hot-
thinking of was Fantasy. You know, the beep, 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 the one that samples Tom Tom Club, but that's a different song entirely.
Yeah, I've got Heartbreaker.
We are all incredibly uneducated on music.
Well,
Apparently.
I apologise to the audience for my failings in Mariah Carey musical.
I was
back
6
catalogue.
when this was in the charts.
Well, you should know.
She lived above a bar that I was a regular at for a while, and we'd see her every once
Really?
in a blue moon. Yeah.
Did you ever
Cool.
sing the Christmas song?
Did I ever sing it? No, she did though. Famously.
Oh, this is a shame.
Chalkboard gag.
Let's get into some gags, yeah.
All right, so
Chalkboard gag.
the chalkboard gag is the cafeteria deep fryer is not a toy. Let's just
I mean, it
sound
is
life
though, innit?
advice.
It is though, isn't it?
It's a cooking toy.
Absolutely.
What are kitchen appliances but cooking toys?
That's why my parents gave me all those cooking sets as a kid. Is so I could learn to continue my future job as a fry cook.
And the couch gag, it's our old favourite, and
It's back.
The circus line gag.
Yay! Hooray! I'm so glad I get to see it again.
It's making its 4th appearance.
I actually thought it was more, if I'm honest. I thought it was 6.
Yeah, I feel like it's been more.
I think it shows up 6 or 7 times total. This is its 4th outing. It should tip you off that there is some padding going on in this episode to make the runtime up. That's usually why the circus line is here, is because they need to jam a few seconds into the runtime.
But that's fine because I mean, like I would so much rather have that than a longer episode that is less tight. You know, like this is an
Yeah.
episode that is just packed to the gills with gags, and I was floored because I last time I watched this episode was a few years ago. But every single one of these gags hits still.
Yep.
It's incredible.
It does. Yeah, that is to say, there are a few gags that run long in this, and they are done as padding.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
they
right.
made
But it
the
feels
jokes long,
intentional.
but also Yeah, it
I think
does.
I know the gag you're referring to, like the prime example of that. But
We'll
it
get there.
feels weirdly intentional, and you're kind of sat there like, and then it just keeps going. But you're like, it's still somehow funny.
I feel like there are 2 big examples, but yeah, they like just how much they drag it out and
Yeah.
adds to the humor. Yeah,
So the episode starts with Up Late with McBain.
interesting.
And
I'd watch the shit out of this show.
Oh, my initial thought here though is, why is he McBain? McBain is a character in a movie. He's not McBain. He's Rainier Wolfcastle. So they clearly haven't quite figured that bit out yet. In spite of him being Rainier Wolfcastle in the last episode we watched.
Well,
although this was season 4, so
There have been shows where actors have hosted in character.
Yep.
Do you remember? Do you
true.
remember? There was that Gong Show revival a few years back where Mike Myers was in character as another guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I mean, there was. Let me see here, because I think it only ran for like a year, but it was this really, really bizarre thing where he was a character named Tommy Maitland. He was a British character actually, and it was so bizarre the way that they had him dressed up. And everyone was like, who the fuck is this guy? And then it took everybody like 2 minutes to be like, wait, that's Mike Myers? What is he doing?
Right.
Yeah, it would require me to watch modern Mike Myers, which I'm not really invested in doing.
They just put him under the most disgusting load of prosthetics imaginable. It was very strange.
Weird.
well,
Okay.
if he'd adopted the name Corpo Oppengubenheimer Wolfcastle, he would have been more
This made me
successful.
laugh way too much. This made me just long silly name. I'm like, what am I, 5? But it made me
His
laugh.
middle name was Fura.
Yeah, exactly. And I was already giggling, and then they said Führer, and I was just like, sold. And then they showed him, and it's even better. And you just like, this guy keeps getting better.
The announcer is in a full Nazi outfit, which is amazing. And McBain comes on stage and he thanks his musician, Scoey, and he then tells Scoey that his jacket makes him look like a
That
homosexual.
outfit makes you look like a homosexual.
Boo!
The audience
Maybe you're all homosexuals.
and the audience boos, and Bob comments that the Fox network has sunk to a new low by airing this.
So
Punching at Fox a lot lately. We've had so many jabs at Fox over the last few episodes.
Also, if it's a
Maybe there's
late
a
night
contract
show,
problem.
why are Bart and Lisa watching it in the middle of the day?
Maybe it's a rerun.
I just thought
Yeah,
of
who
that.
knows?
They were just watching it in the middle of the day.
Ding! Continuity error. Ding!
Yeah, it happens.
Might be a few in this one.
Simpsons not being consistent. Blimey.
Marge comes in with the mail, and Lisa gets a letter from her pen pal Anya, and it starts with
I
a
love
nice
this.
little sweet little girl saying that she's very sad because the president's been overthrown, and midway through the letter the voice changes to a to a man, and is just explaining
Benevolent General Krull.
And the letter is just praising Krull, and it signs it off as little girl.
From Little Girl. I love the idea that Lisa is reading this in her pen pal's voice, but then knows when to switch voices.
And I just like Lisa's little at the end. Like,
Yeah,
you know what
she's
happened.
She's just like, nah, well, guess they're fucked. The end.
But then opens his letter, and we see that it says, "I'm going to kill you," written in the website says thick red ink. I'm pretty sure it was blood.
Oh, it's his blood.
Yes, it is
And
very
it like
clear.
literally shows it in the next clip that it's blood.
But now he cuts to said hand, and we clearly see that it's blood as it's signing another letter, and then it goes through its to-do list, which includes adding corn holders onto the list.
Yeah, I just like the whole visual gag of writing this horrifying letter and then being like, oh well, I've got the blood. I might as well do a to-do list while I'm here.
I got the ink out.
Yeah, so we cut to an Itchy and Scratchy cartoon, and it's Scratchy being tricked to go into the animal hospital because he thinks he's going to get paid, but it actually says spay. We see that spaying consists of being tied to a table and a laser being fired at you, James Bond style.
It
Love a
says
James Bond
we
gag.
pay your pets, and I'm just like, what?
Yes.
What does he think he's gonna get out of this?
This is a
Does he
fake
think he's gonna get
cartoon
paid?
for
or-
children in a cartoon for
No,
children.
no,
I
but
wouldn't overanalyze
I'm
it.
coming at it. I'm coming at it with the analysis. It's happening.
No, he's looking to get
Does he
paid.
think
He's looking to get
Yeah,
some
does
damn
he-
money. That's all.
So he thinks he's gonna get paid because he's a pet.
Yeah.
Not he's gonna sell his pet.
Well, he
Yes.
doesn't have a
Right.
pet.
Exactly. That's why I was confused why he walks in alone, because I was thinking
He is
that
the
they
pet.
were
He wants
just.
to get paid, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna buy his pet from him, and
No,
then he
he's
didn't
looking.
have
He's,
one.
he's looking to get some money, and instead he's going to have his genitals removed. That's all. That's the joke.
No, but Scratchy is not going to have his genitals removed because his tongue has special powers to extend to its great length to unplug the machine. The only flaw in the plan is
What?
that Itchy comes into the room to plug the machine back in, and Scratchy's genitals are removed along with everything else.
That's right.
Frankly, Sean Connery should have done this, but okay.
I was quite surprised at how surprised I was that he died. I don't know why. Like he was like, "Oh, he saved himself! Hooray!" And then
Are you familiar
and then-
with Itchy and Scratchy, man?
And then Scratchy comes out and ruins it. I'm like, "Oh no, he died!" I was
Honestly-
like, "Why are you surprised?"
The only surprise to me is that it was a bit less bloody than usual.
Yes,
Like you get to see him chopped up, but I suppose because it's a laser, it's immediately
cauterizing.
it?
cauterizing
Yeah.
the wounds. Yeah.
It's like a lightsaber. I mean, I imagine that because it is technically a cartoon, they have a limit on how much blood they can show per like season.
I
So
mean,
they don't
they're
wanna
already
waste
using up a
them
lot of
all
the quota
on-
on the handwriting.
Yeah, also that. Yeah.
We don't see that Lisa's amused by this, but Bart looks worried. And we cut to the next scene, and Homer opens a letter, and he's horrified to learn that someone's trying to kill him as every single member of the family comes into the room, including the mouse that's in the floorboard.
I've never noticed that detail
I did
before,
not
but yeah, the
notice
mouse
that.
Now,
comes
this was the
out.
first time I've ever actually noticed that. I was like, whoops. But Homer's relieved to find it's actually addressed to Bart. Then we see that all the then he cuts the next scene, and we see there's multiple letters on the table, except the one that actually is written in ink. And that was written by Homer, because Bart put a wide low tattoo on his arse somehow.
I would
Whichever
love
one.
if that remained canon forever. That Homer just had a wide load tattoo on his ass the whole.
Yeah, I mean, I
forever
sort of assumed it
Simpsons.
was like in Sharpie or something, but he does say tattoo, so yeah, that would be fun if he just kept it.
Homer is also stupid, so he might think it's a tattoo.
Surely he would wash his ass at some point in his life.
It is Homer.
We then cut to Bart saying who would want to hurt him because he's this century's Dennis the Menace. He kind of
I
is.
didn't like that. That felt like another one of those like really I've said it before, like when Bart just makes a really weird joke that a child wouldn't make, like, you know, when he makes jokes about like the Oscars and stuff, it felt like that again, and I was just like, nah, it didn't land. For me, anyway, but, you know, I'm a miserable cunt.
I feel like those kind of intended as sort of a very knowing, inside, vaguely
On the
fourth wall
nose.
breaking gag, as like the kid that always acts up kind of character. He knows what his character is, right?
That's what most modern sitcoms and comedy is these days, is looking at the camera and going, did you get that reference? And I actually, as much as I hate it, I do respect Simpsons for doing its really, like, overly complex references that no one will get, rather than Bart essentially looking into the camera and making a joke about the Oscars.
I think that at this point in the Simpsons run, it's moving, you know, the structure of the show itself is moving away from being kind of like a satirical take on the suburban American experience to being the gag factory. And most of those gags, of course, revolving around Homer and generally being more visual in nature. But I think that it's also one of those things where there are just certain things that the writers themselves find to be amusing because they themselves are cultural omnivores. They're, you know, just consuming everything all the time. And so sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses, but it's down to the gag density, whether you're talking about verbal or visual gags. The nice thing is they just keep stacking on top of each other. So if one doesn't hit for you, the next one will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's you're never waiting long for the next gag, especially in this episode. And that's one of the things that ultimately why Simpsons works, is that it is written by the writers for the writers, and it just so happens that the writers are very funny. Whereas, again, like most like modern comedy is written by committee. You know, it's like perfectly crafted to appeal to the widest demographic and offend the fewest people.
I did find a note on this episode that because it was at the end of season 4, and I think a few of the staff were looking to leave the show after that, there was kind of a little bit of attitude towards production of this of, we can do whatever we want anyway, because, like, what are they going to do, fire us?
I like that attitude.
But what I think is so interesting about that, too, is that these are the things that end up becoming the hallmarks of the show. You know, it's things that they were throwing out to just for the sake of, well, fuck it. But then when you think about the things in The Simpsons that are the most iconic, a lot of those moments are in this very episode.
Oh, they really are. I'm astonished there are as many bits as there are, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I used to follow the, when I used to use Twitter, I used to follow the Simpsons clips thing, and 2 of those clips that, like, they use all the time are in this episode, and I was like, hell yeah.
So, Homer suggests that it's probably the person that you least suspect, and Lisa's not impressed with that. Grandpa says we should call Matlock and starts going through all of Matlock's enemies, and Bart points out that Matlock's not real, and Grandpa then goes on to a spiel about how his teeth aren't, but he can still eat corn on the cob if it's turned into paste.
Did anyone else notice that Abe Simpson is, like, very poorly animated in this one scene?
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't brilliant, this scene.
Really bad dubbing. He barely moves. It's really weird, considering... It's one of those things where, like, was the animation time spent on other things? Because if that's the case, it's very obvious in this episode, because there are some, like, really well-animated bits.
I feel like it may also be, like, part of the padding again. Like, oh shit, we need to jam a few seconds in here, have Grandpa Simpson go on a bit of a rant.
Say some extra shit.
Yeah, make it something that's really simple and easy to animate. All we need to do is, like, move his mouth, and that's about it.
Yeah.
We then cut to Bart at the school, and Milhouse has been doing the rounds and says that the kids are planning to call him Fatty Fat Fat, and Milton's going to pull his pants down, but no one's going to kill him. Bart is relieved, even though those 2 things immediately happen to him seconds later.
I like the girls were planning this. This was orchestrated.
This is a perfectly executed gag, right? Because you have the setup and you process it, and you process what the thing is, and you think that, well, the joke is just, oh, haha, like these are the things that would normally happen, the bullying, etc. But then you get to see it happen in a way that is coordinated. That's what makes it work so brilliantly, is that you're basically making your brain catalog each of these things that are going to happen, and then it pays it off immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like getting the gag twice, kind of in a clever way. It's really good.
Yeah.
Bart is next in bed, and radio DJ comes on and says that the song is dedicated to Bart with the message, "I'm going to kill you slowly and painfully," We then see Bart look absolutely horrified as Wipeout plays in the background.
It was such a weird choice of song.
Let's suggest that potentially Sideshow Bob requested that song to be played with it as
Yeah,
well. I guess.
exactly.
Well, this is a question that I have. I mean, I call-in shows like this, like Delilah being one of the most famous ones, very common in the United States. This idea that, like, you've got a message that you want to give somebody and you're going to dedicate a song to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same way, or was it the same way in Britain in the 90s?
Yeah, it still happens all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really common. Usually they pick something a bit more like applicable to the situation than Wipeout, but yeah.
I haven't heard Wipeout in ages. I was glad to hear it.
No, me neither. I've hummed it a bajillion times whenever I do any kind of surfing motion in a video game, but no, I don't think I've ever actually listened to the song in a very long time.
But then cut to Bart being an absolute nervous panic wreck, and as he comes into the kitchen, he sees that Marge is cutting up words with the scissors, saying she's going to get him, and Bart is terrified until she says some ice cream because she's saving so much money on Diet Cola.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
nice little visual gag here that the first part, all you see is die, but it turns out that die is part of diet.
And it's in red as well, so...
Right.
No, it's great. Yeah, it's great.
That's one of the smart things, too, I think, about that I noticed this time around, is that the gags keep building. You have for instance, mentioned earlier the bit about Abe and how he talks about corn and how he is able to eat corn as long as it is mushed up or whatever. And that is actually partially paying off the joke earlier where Sideshow Bob wanted to purchase corn holders. It's not quite a full like joke, but it's these little things that make your brain light up and be like, hey, I remember they said this thing about that thing, so that even if they don't... Yeah, exactly. So, like, even if they don't necessarily connect, even if they're not even fully fledged jokes, you have that, ooh, I'm a good boy, I've been paying attention impulse.
It gives you consistency, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it makes the whole episode feel more cohesive, even though it is just a mishmash of weird gags, but they managed to, like, give it a through line.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see Bart walking down the street, and then Flanders jumps out of him with sort of claws in the hand, saying that Bart needs to say his prayers. And as Bart is terrified again, Flanders clarifies that the schools can't force him to, and then we see that Flanders is just using them as shears to make his grand angel.
Specifically, what he says is because the schools can't make you like they should, which I thought was so funny and very Flanders. Because again, you can't have anyone else in the show say that, and it sound even remotely likable. Because the only other applicable character would be like Reverend Lovejoy, and if he said it, it would sound sinister or misanthropic or something like that. But when Ned says it, you're just like, oh, Ned.
Well, that's part of what's so brilliant about this point of The Simpsons is that the gags are still grounded in who the characters are.
Yes.
That with who Flanders is, he is incredibly annoying. He is incredibly Christian, and he somehow remains incredibly lovable in spite of those frustrating things about his character. And so it's kind of making a commentary about society, but not really. It's mostly just a joke, you know?
Yeah.
Important question, though. Are those things real and practical for such a purpose? Because obviously they're playing on the Freddy Krueger thing, but then it's like, well, are they an actual... Presumably, obviously, that wasn't invented...
So.
They can't have been just invented for Freddy Krueger, were they? There must be, like, a device that exists in the world,
Freddy
right?
Krueger just had them. Like, he made them. Freddy Krueger didn't even actually make them. His spirit makes them in the dream realm. So it doesn't even... Like, they're not even a thing that he had when he was alive.
That still counts as him making them.
Yeah, but if you make something in a dream realm, that's not you then being like, I've come up with a new invention. It's you coming up with, I've thought of a way to scare the fuck out of teenagers so they don't have sex or go to sleep.
I think you can invent things in dreams. I think that's a bad way to
if he
invent things.
if he had the sense to pattern it, Freddy Krueger might not have turned to a life of crime.
It's my least favorite thing in the world when I have a dream where I've made a brilliant invention and then I wake up and I realize that I don't have it anymore. Have you ever had that?
I've invented sports that were real and then
Sports?
immediately realized... Yeah, so I like once invented football.
Oh, good for you.
Shit, that's real. I was like,
Football as in like soccer, Australian rules football.
I mean football.
We're British, so when we say football, football.
Football, right. AKA gridiron football. Real football. Yes, okay. I'm with you now. Very good.
Hand egg.
Hand egg.
We then cut to Bart being very paranoid in the school as Mrs. Krabappel tells him he's going to be her murder victim, but that's because he's going to be in the play of Lizzie Borden with Martin as starring as Lizzie, and we just see Martin dressed up as a little girl saying he's going to give Bart 40 whacks with a wet noodle.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about the way Martin says anything that just makes it immediately more funny.
He was very into character, let's say.
It was.
We then cut to Marge appealing to Chief Wiggum for help, and Chief Wiggum says that it's not a crime to send threatening mail. And Marge says, I'm pretty sure that it is. Wiggum's not having it until Lou has to point this out to him in the book. At the same
Why
time...
is it Springfield law, though? Why wouldn't it just be law?
Because it's funnier. Come on, because it's funnier. All of these gags are that way because they're funnier.
But also, just to be a pedant, like Springfield is a state as well as a town.
It is.
So...
I thought I didn't. There's a state of Springfield.
Yes,
it's Springfield apostrophe S. Springfield's state is the state that Springfield is in.
I actually didn't
on the
realize
flag.
that.
On the flag, it says not just another state, which is great.
We've had these discussions before. We've narrowed down that Springfield is a state in Costa Rica. We're pretty confident.
But it's mostly, I mean, like just the fact that Springfield has something on the books preventing you from shoving squirrels down your pants for the purpose of gambling, and then we immediately see the cops doing that.
Yep, the
What
cops
were they
are doing
gambling
that.
on? Like, which squirrel came out first? Which
I was-
nut got bit?
Well, that's up to you. That's up to your imagination. At the
Yeah,
end
you
of
can
the day.
interpret that however you want.
Yeah.
Look, if you have dream and think about this sport, you can make the rules, okay?
I just love how much the dude is clearly, like, enjoying it as well.
He's having a great time.
He's loving it. He's not in it for the money.
I will note that the police having to look up the law in a book is
He's very funny.
surprisingly accurate, because in recent encounters with police in my recent activism work, we did learn that they do frequently have to just look it up on an app. I can tell you the name of the app. It is called Pocket Sergeant.
Oh, that's really funny.
So, Lisa comes to Bart soon, and Lisa's been thinking, and Lisa thinks that she knows who it is, and who has Bart been crank calling for years, and Bart says, Linda Lavin, and Lisa's response is, so someone that deserved it. Fuck you, Linda, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Well, that's a very American joke, but it's very funny. I mean, Linda Lavin is just one of America's great, like one of the greatest Broadway actors of all time. But like that again, that is a joke that they put in there because it was funny for them. Like Linda Lavin is the kind of lady who you're going to see on Broadway in a prestigious play, or at least she was. Rest in peace. She died in December.
Well, it's funny how we time these things. And Lisa eventually is actually talking about Mo, and Lisa calls Mo and tells him we're going to the cops if he doesn't knock it off. Mo says he'll take care of it, and we just cut to Mo in the back room with his associates, and Mo has a whole hot hatch of pandas, which he
There's
loose
so
into the
many as
lap.
well. They just keep going.
The visual of him just releasing pandas into the wild in Springfield really tickles me. That's such a good bit. Just the visual of it is just wonderful.
I don't know how many times this like gag format repeats, because I know there's the whale one later on.
Oh yeah.
But it's great, and I just love the whole vibe of Mo. If the idea of calling someone saying, "We know what you did, stop it," and they don't go, "Who the fuck is this?" They just go, "Ah, shit! One of my schemes has been rumbled."
Well,
So they
it's one of the
immediately
things.
go
The reason that it works so well from a writing perspective is that it's like, well, if this is true, then what else is true?
yeah, exactly.
Right? Like if Mo has been smuggling pandas or whatever, that's going to be a pretty big problem, meaning he's naturally going to have a great deal of fear from anybody who gets to the bottom of whatever his deal is, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he's got some stuff going on there. Like he's got legitimate businessmen in the back room.
Yeah.
But then cut to Bart despairing, looking out the window, saying he knows that the person after him is out there, but who? And we get the nice pan-out shot of the whole of Springfield, ending up on Springfield Jail, and we zoom in, and it's Sideshow Bob.
Dun, dun, dun.
Writing his diary in blood. Still writing in blood.
No. Bob writes his next letter, then immediately goes into another letter, which he's writing to the life in these United States, and then Bob starts to faint because of his blood loss, and Snake tells him to just use a pen.
Again, it's the same with Snake. Just anything he says is automatically made funny because it's just a simple gag that I think it's clever because we're all thinking it of just like, why the fuck isn't he using a pen? And then Snake just comes in and says it, and because it's said by Snake, it just lands that little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
We then cut to the next scene, and the parole hearings are taking place, and we see that Snake is granted parole, and as he's leaving, Bob tells him that he says him to take care, and then says he hopes they meet under fallacious circumstances.
Felicitous.
Yeah, sorry, I said something completely different, with a completely different meaning. I apologize.
What?
Snake doesn't understand, and Bob just simplifies it to take care, and bah.
Could they only get the actor for Snake for one line and then just some mumbles?
No, and obviously the gag there is just like the
that he's an
gap
idiot.
in intellect between the two of them. Yeah.
What? Bah.
We then see that Bob's parole is on the way, and we see that Chief Wiggum says that Sideshow Bob has no decency because he calls him Chief Wiggum. Everyone in the courtroom laughs, and then Chief Wiggum finally gets it and laughs himself.
Yeah, I forgot how Wiggum-centric this episode is. There's a lot
of
Wiggum gags in a way that repeatedly hit on like just how dumb he is, but that he's kind of stupid in a specific way. He just like lacks situational awareness, basically.
Then cut to Selma, and Selma reveals that Bob tried to kill him on the honeymoon. Everyone murmurs. Then the lawyer's defense for this is how many people are thinking of killing her right now. We see some tentative hands go up behind her, and then he says, "Be honest." Then the entire courtroom lifts a hand, including Selma's own sister Patty.
And then we later find out that he's not the defense.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, whose side is he arguing for in this court here, or is he just generally just playing the field here? I don't know.
Do you think they
What are we
initially
doing?
wrote this with Lionel Hutz in mind, but then couldn't get that actor for whatever reason, so they were just like, let's have the one lawyer do the same thing?
No, I took it as
Do
he
both
was.
characters.
I took it as he was representing Bob throughout the whole thing, because even when he's interrogating him, he's doing it in a leading way of.
I guess so.
As we're going to this, he says, if Bob was released, would he pose any threat to Bart Simpson? And Bob's response to this is, the spirited little scamp that twice foiled my evil schemes and sent me to this dark, urine-soaked hellhole, as it gets slowly and slowly darker and more ominous on him as he's talking.
Objection. It should be God, what's the fucking
Wee-wee
soaked heck hole? Yeah.
Yep. And Bob just goes, yeah, but it's cheerfully withdrawn.
Cheerfully withdrawn.
The blue-hair lawyer then asks about the tattoo on his chest that perhaps would say to the unobservant, die, Bart, die, but Bob's happy to clear that up, that it's actually German for the Bart, the.
The Bart, the. And I like how everyone just kind of is like, oh, yes, we're good.
Anyone who speaks German could be an evil man.
I mean, and this is the sort of thing, too, where the line itself is funny enough, but there's something about that delivery that just sticks in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is one of those lines that has sort of like, I think, grown beyond the episode itself, like that is taken out of context and just delivered
I think
alone.
it's because he says it so matter-of-factly, like it's obvious that it's the Bart, the.
And
And
I was meaning the evil man line, but yeah.
But because, as we know, no one who speaks German can possibly be evil, and it's enough for Bob to get parole, and we just see him walk out of the prison. We then cut to the next scene, and we're in the cinema, and
Ernest goes somewhere cheap is his showing.
I swear that's actually probably an Ernest movie. Then pretty much get a thing that's pretty much straight out of the movie Cape Feare, and it's the classic person smoking the cigar in the cinema.
Hey, remember when you could smoke at the cinema?
Yeah, Bob is taking full advantage.
Actually.
No, it's right near the door, actually.
Bob's taking full advantage of it as he's smoking a cigar and everyone's choking on the smoke, and Marge says he's being very inconsiderate, and we cut to Homer with an absolutely massive cigar in his mouth.
I do object to this because what they're complaining about is someone laughing at a comedy film.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing it in a really annoying way.
Yeah, you're allowed to
Yeah,
laugh.
but like laugh a lot. Everyone laughs. There's a lot of laughter at the gags, and like
I
know.
think I mentioned this before. I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast. When I went to see the Barbie film, I had one of those moments where I was the only person that laughed at something, but I didn't just snicker. I fucking guffawed at the bit where one of the Barbies gets when one of the Barbies gets fucking unbrainwashed and says, "I feel like I was really invested in the Snyder Cut." I fucking lost my mind. And later on, we ran into one of my ex's friends, and she said, someone really liked that Snyder Cut line. And I was just like, I was just so embarrassed.
Homer finally has enough of Bob laughing and tries to interrupt him, but unfortunately at that moment Ernest does something comic over the toilet, and Homer, just like Matt before him, loses complete control, slapping Bob in the back, and Bob objects, and the kids are horrified to see Bob. And Bart finally puts two and two together and realizes that Bob was the one that wrote the letters. Marge tells him to stay away, and Bob ominously says he will, which Homer is horrified at.
Forever.
Homer's horrified, and then Bob realizes that what
That's
he
a
just
very
said.
good Kelsey Grammer.
Thank you. I try.
Bob realizes that line won't work, and he walks away. But he comes running back once he's thought of a better comeback and asks Marge to repeat the line. Marge won't, so Bob gives his first of the episode.
No!
I think there's a great subversion of expectations there, because you do just kind of expect Marge to say it again.
Yes.
Because you're like, oh, well, we've got Kelsey Grammer, so they're going to have him say the another better line. So again, having Marge then say no, the audience is it's almost like blue balling an audience. They're just kind of like, but Central Bob.
Yeah, I feel like they're doing quite a lot of playing with subverting expectations this episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
We then cut to Bob getting ready to kill Bart, and we see that he's training, he's pumping iron, he's doing the weights, he's doing his jazzercise exercise video.
Did anyone know anyone that actually used these VHSs?
Nope.
No,
I
I
think my
knew a lot
mum
of people
actually
that had them. Yeah, exactly.
I don't
My
ever
mum
recall
had
her
them,
using it, though.
but I don't think anyone ever used them.
Is it just a thing that everybody owned but nobody used?
Yeah.
The best bit of this gag is that because he has the 3 fingers rather than the 4 fingers, he has the tattoos on these knuckles that say LUV for love, and then on the other knuckles HAT for hate, but there is a long line over the A to let us know that it's a long A, so that it says hate rather than hat. That's a
that's so
fantastic
clever.
joke.
It's very good.
That's Glum toothpaste's level of joke. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We don't cut to back to the Simpson household, and an elaborate trapwires have been set up all over the house. Wiggum assures Homer that he now knows if Bob tries to break in, and tells Homer that once a man breaks into your house, anything you do to him is nice and legal.
Wait.
Homer decides this is good and invites Flanders over, and as Homer's waiting to pounce on Flanders behind the door, Wiggum points out it doesn't work if you invite them, and Flanders arrives. Homer tells him to immediately leave, and he cheerfully does.
I just
Howdy-hey,
he's like,
toodly-doo.
exactly. It's so good. Flanders is just so accepting.
But then it cuts to Homer talking to a vigilante who says, "Don't worry, he can be very persuasive," and we see him load a gun. We then cut to the next scene, he's just
More
really
Private Eye, I
loud.
think, isn't it? Sort of kind of character than a vigilante.
Come on.
And we just see him very pathetically asking,
Leave
Touch your Bob to
town. I'll be your
No.
friend.
He's also at a bar we have seen before. It is the Aristocrat, which is where Homer went when he was thrown out of Moe's one time.
Ah, clever.
was that the one with the, can I have a clean glass?
I think that was, yes, I think it is the one where he asks for a clean glass, yeah.
We then see that Bob gets a bit more adventurous now, and we next see that he's in an ice cream truck, and he's got on the loudspeaker, and he's saying, "The following people won't be murdered by me." He then names everyone in the neighborhood, including that little baby Simpson.
Yeah, but
Yep.
he names the Flanders, but not their children. So what does
that
that
is true.
say? Hmm.
Oh, he's going to murder Rod and Todd. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they
Which
deserve
is
it.
fair
Have you
enough.
seen them?
Hooray!
We then see Bart looking very forlorn about it, and then we see Homer come into the room telling Bart the good news.
Have you heard the good news? Wait, never mind.
Homer just quietly backs out of the door. And then we finally see that the family are now going to go into witness protection, and we see them meeting the agents, and
Why don't they just arrest him? If they're doing witness protection, just arrest him at this point.
no.
No, just don't. Plot. The relentless march of the plot.
Yeah. We then see that Homer wants the new identity of John Elway, and Homer has a fantasy about being John Elway, where he scores the last minute touchdown, but he's already lost 56-7. But Homer's quite happy about it still.
They really animated Homer's dance as well. They went for it.
I mean, my main thought on this was in regards to Homer's favourite football team, which I definitely have in my head as being... Is it the Denver Broncos or is it the Dallas Cowboys?
No,
It's Dallas Cowboys, right?
It's Dallas Cowboys, but he ends up with the Denver Broncos. He's not very
Well,
happy
that's just
about
because
it.
he wants to be John Elway. That's all.
Okay, fine, right. I don't know enough hand-egg players.
Well, wants to be a Cockney once again, and we see him do the accent one more time, just to show that the actor can do it.
Yeah, this never gets old, guys. Please keep doing this, Jace. Great. Nah, really.
Does he
really
even do the
peak
accent this
Simpsons.
time? He just says how much he wants to be a Cockney.
No, he does do the accent.
Does he?
He,
Oh,
says he
okay.
does the
He
whole
must
clean as
be-
a whistle thing.
Yeah, it wants to be Gus the lovable chimney sweep. Homer just tells him to shut up. Channeling Matt there.
Yeah, it's weird. They just kind of, I think they really did, like, we want Bart to do the chimney sweep voice again, but we don't know how to, like, segue and move on from him doing it, so Homer's just going to tell him to shut up.
I don't know, I like it is mildly amusing, just Homer's just perpetual annoyance at Bart wanting to be Cockney. It's like, no, just give it up.
The agents start going through the list of places that the family can move to in peace and security, which include Cape Feare, Terror Lake, New Horrorfield, Screamville. Homer
Ooh,
thinks he meant
Ice
Ice Creamville, but nope, he meant Screamville, which Homer screams at. And they eventually settle on that they will now be Homer Thompson from Terror Lake, and they decide to practice to get Homer into the swing of it. And the agent says, when I say hello, Mr. Thompson, you say hi. And Homer says, yeah, I got it. Then says hello, Mr. Thompson, and Homer doesn't respond. And he reiterates the point, and Homer says he's got it, and Homer doesn't get it. And we just cut to later on, and the agents are looking very disheveled at this point.
It's
And
been a
there's
while.
as one agent tries to say, when I tap on your foot, this means that you are Mr. Thompson.
I think he's talking to you.
Homer is not getting it.
I mean, the
It's
thing
another
that
good line, love it.
this is also, I think, one of the best examples of an iconic still. Like this particular frame where they're standing at the desk and
Yeah.
they're just beyond themselves is so. You know, there are times where the artists of The Simpsons really manage to capture an intuitive feeling, and this is one of them. And the fact that you're seeing this as pretty much a still directly after the setup, you get the sense for how much time has passed intuitively, and it works like gangbusters.
Just everything,
Yeah.
like, yeah, the ties are down, they've had loads of cigarettes, everything about it, like Maggie's asleep and stuff.
That's the other thing. Yeah, the family being over there, and they're also exhausted.
I love as well, it's such a repeated gag throughout Simpsons of Homer saying he understands, and he doesn't understand. And yet, it's funny every time, because it's just so simple.
We then cut to the family leaving for their new life. They've got a convertible and the FBI recorded Gilbert and Sullivan collection. And,
The FBI Light Opera Society.
Fantastic.
I love that. The idea that the FBI have, like, FBI brand products kind of thing, including, radio players.
the family drive off singing Gilbert and Sullivan, and Homer and Bart are in their cat hats now. I don't know when that happened. And they're having a good thing of that singing, and they're singing all in harmony.
It's
And we then
another,
cut-
like, really well-animated bit. Considering it's just the family singing, it's really well-animated. You can tell when there's, like, more frames in an episode, or, like, in a gag of Simpsons. It's really obvious, and this is one of them, and I was just like, they were really proud that they had them all sing. They really liked this bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's as he says, a lot of good scenes like this, which is why the scenes with Abe early, I think, probably stand out as much as they do. But by contrast with a lot of the rest of the episode, like it's just not there by the standards.
Then cut to the shot underneath, and we see that Bob has strapped himself under the car, and he's laughing evilly. Fortunately, this immediately comes back to bite Bob as Homer starts driving over speed bumps, and we just see
How
Bob's head hitting
little
it.
of your head would be left after that? I know this is a cat. I'm not, like, actually criticizing Simpsons for Sideshow Bob's head not exploding. It was my immediate thought was there would be nothing left.
He's going to go through worse later. don't
Yeah,
worry.
it's going to get worse.
Well, this is a great example of one of those jokes where they keep raising the stakes, right? The fact that
Yeah.
they immediately then drive through the cactus patch
Yes.
and further immiserate Sideshow Bob.
Then see that Homer's coffee is too hot, and he throws it over the side, and we just hear
Yeah,
Bert scolding Bob.
That too, yeah.
Like, wait, my dude. I know it's a gag, but also it's like, oh, my coffee's too hot. I'll throw it away.
We don't see that Homer asks the kids if they want to drive through the cactus patch, and Bart and Lisa say yes, and we just hear Bob's voice go no.
That's
Homer
so
Homer just
good.
assumes that it's Maggie and says 2 against 1, and we just see Homer driving through the cactus patch, and Kelsey Grammer's voice just making multiple noises of pain. We then see the starting titles to The Thompsons.
The Thompsons.
That it proper got me. The best part about it though is how much better drawn the Thompsons logo is than the Simpsons, because they've been using the same one for years.
Yeah,
so they were like,
never
now let's
iterated on the
redraw
first
the
one.
Thompsons logo, or draw the Thompsons logo, and it's better. And it just immediately stood out to me, and I was like, that's weird. I don't know why it stood out so much.
We get a second couch gag of the episode as well.
Yeah, we got our second couch gag, which is a load of fish falling on the family because they're by the lake now.
Because there's a boat.
We then see the family actually arrive, and Homer notes that it's a houseboat and says the great thing about it is if you hate your neighbours, you can just pull up and leave. And the family start laughing, and every boat in the park just immediately leaves.
Such a simple gag.
Can we note Homer's outfit here, because he's wearing all witness relocation program branded clothing?
That was fantastic. Particularly just the idea that this is something that they give you as part of your standard relocation package.
And that it's just so counterintuitive, because like that's the one thing you wouldn't want anybody to know you're involved in. So like,
so the FBI can find you, not so the criminals can find you. Duh.
Oh, they'd never find you again if you weren't wearing the right t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
We then see the disheveled Bob just fall out from under the car, and then we get a glorious thing of Bob steps on a rake.
The rake
and
scene.
makes his moan.
And
he
it's
then
the
does it again.
same noise every time, and yet it is hilarious.
we get that for about 3 or 4 times, and we get that zoom out, and we just see that Bob is absolutely surrounded
by rakes for no fucking reason.
And he just like takes really long, elated steps to get to a couple of them too.
It keeps going and going.
It goes a good minute.
The startling thing about this too, I mean, is that this is something that is now the idea of a rake gag is shorthand in comedy now. Like you talk about a rake gag, you know what that means, which is a bit that the entire purpose of the bit is that it keeps repeating itself for a little bit too long until it comes around and becomes funny again.
Yeah.
Thinking about the fact that there was no true rake gag before the rake gag is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Like, imagine coming up with this bit and executing it in this way. It's phenomenal. It's just fantastic.
But not only that, this is one of those padding ones as well. Like this is 27 seconds long, and it's just there to make the runtime longer. And it's become one of the most iconic jokes of The Simpsons history.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's insane. Yeah, it's wild to think about.
With one of the things you were saying, was like the only equivalence we had to this kind of thing, and it had kind of disappeared for a while. That kind of comedy was like Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, those kind of things, which were like classic comedy. And I think that's why Simpsons works so well, is again, it's like a great adaptation of modern and like classic kinds of comedy. Like we've said it before, and you were talking about how Simpsons in these seasons is a gag fest. Well, like, because like the first 2 seasons we talked about it a lot, or I talked about it a lot because I found it interesting, was that it was a sitcom. It was just a standard sitcom,
right? But
it was a cartoon, and it is now, over the course of like, once we got into like the 4th season, it became The Simpsons. And it's so fascinating, and The Simpsons is like such a case study that has never really been recreated.
Probably also worth noting that Kelsey Grammer did not realize this gag was what it was either. As you say,
really?
the groan is exactly the same each time, because he only recorded it once. He did one, and that was it. When he saw the episode, he didn't expect it to happen 9 times.
Then cut back to the family, and we just hear Bob stepping on a rake.
Yeah, that's the icing on the cake. Is that after you've seen it happen all those times, you get to hear it one last time.
Still going on in the background. It's lovely. Yeah, it's great.
I'll just ask where the dog is, and Homer says he's tied up her back, and we just see the dog tied up to a pole and
genuinely think this is one of my favourite gags of the whole episode.
That's very good.
I don't know why I think because it's Simpsons, I was expecting a drowning dog. But nope.
Oh my god.
He's fucking happy as Larry, just swimming around, and that proper got me. And I love seeing a happy dog. Dogs are great. So seeing Santa's little helper just like swimming around, I was just like, hell yeah. I don't know, but yeah, just because it was so quick, it's such a quick cut. It really got me.
We then cut to Marge being rueful about the fact that they've left everything behind, but Homer reassures her that he's tied up all loose ends. We then cut to Grandpa Simpson feebly knocking on the door, asking for the family that they have his pills. He then points out that he's cold and wolves are after him as the wolves start howling in the background.
Yeah, it's cold out here and there's wolves after me.
Oh, that is a line I've used out of context so many times in my life.
It's also it's funny too because at first you're assuming that the wolves aren't real, and then because it's like it's just the wolves in his imagination. No, there's real wolves out there in Springfield, and they're out to get him.
Well, it's interesting to like ponder. Like, are they out to get him, or has he just heard wolves and gone, "Oh my god, the wolves are after him"?
Yeah, he thinks that. I like that.
We then see Bob walking down the street and then he hears Sideshow Bob's voice. He turns around, but he sees that it's an old lady, and it turns out that Bob's underneath the car. As Bob releases himself, he bangs his head off the ground again. And Bob asks what he wants, and Bob says that surely there's no harm for lying in a public street. Turns out there is, because a marching band immediately crops up and walks over him.
Yes.
That's not the worst moment, because elephants start arriving.
Not the elephant!
Terror Link salutes Hannibal crossing the Alps. Good lord, this is a funny joke. Oh, man.
This had me in bits. This
Spelled
was
out
so
with
good.
one word per elephant.
Yep.
And as every elephant walks past, you just hear this squishing noise of Bob underneath until it cuts to the final elephant, which absolutely pulverizes his skull.
Yeah.
I do think the funniest bit of this portion is the elephant that just says "the" on it.
Yeah, that one is
Absolutely.
amazing.
The...
Yeah, you could have put the Alps on one elephant. Nope. They're separate elephants.
We don't see that Homer's relaxing, and then Bart runs in saying that Sideshow Bob is threatening to kill him, and Homer says, don't interrupt me, and Marge says, this is serious, and Homer says, oh, it isn't.
Homer has become so acclimatized so fast to his new life.
He's on a boat, like, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Love to live on a boat.
We then cut to Bob writing some form of memoirs for himself that he's going to surprise Bart in bed and disembowel him. He decides he doesn't like the word bowel, so changes it to gut.
So he's going to diss and gut him?
Yeah.
I'm going to gut him.
No, he says he's taking out the bowel. He doesn't say he's going to take out the diss.
Yeah, he's leaving the diss.
He's going to diss and gut him.
Okay,
I would love it if he'd then said it. If he'd then, later on in the episode, when he attacks Bart, said he's going to diss and gut him.
We then cut to Homer and Bart in bed, and he can't sleep, and we then hear the door start to come ajar, and Homer comes running in with a butcher's knife and hot brownies, and he shouts it frantically at Bart that if he wants a brownie, and Bart panics, and
Bart, do you want some brownie before you go to bed? But it's basically delivered as like one word.
This again is a bit that's already funny enough in concept, but it's Dan Castellaneta's delivery that really makes it.
Yeah.
Because it is what he's saying. Homer is just really excited about brownies that he's made.
Yeah, he wants Bart to have one while it's hot.
He doesn't even give him one, though. He just
No.
leaves without giving him a brownie.
Because Bart doesn't want one before he goes to bed.
He didn't say
One in the
no.
morning.
Bart says he would appreciate if Homer didn't come into his room brandishing a butcher's knife, and Homer centers himself for not his thoughtfulness and wishes Bart good night. He then immediately runs back into the room
Bart, do you
wearing
want
a
to
hockey
see my
mask
new
and a
chainsaw hockey
chainsaw.
mask?
Bart is even more terrified at this, and Homer says, what am I thinking? He kisses Bart on the head while the chainsaw
When
is still
it
going.
panned out to the boat and the lights went off, I was just like the rake gag. I was expecting one more, and because it didn't happen, again, it's that almost blue balling of just like, So it's
Yeah,
weird.
it subverts the rule of threes there.
Yes.
Yeah. We then see once the lights go off, Bob enters the boat and his hair is absolutely covered in. Bob shakes himself dry like a dog, then immediately steps on a rake and makes the groan.
And I'd forgotten this one too.
Yeah. Proper got me.
Bart finally wakes up, and this time it is Bob, and Bart calls his family for help, and Bob says they won't be able to help him. We then cut and see that the family have all been tied up. Homer's drooling, and Lisa thinks he's being drugged, and Marge assures her that he hasn't.
Marge is so annoyed in that moment.
Well, he has gone to sleep in the middle of an attempted murder of her son.
I don't think he's gone to sleep. I just don't think he ever woke up.
That is also very true.
No, I choose to believe that he went slow. Like the fact that Lisa says he's been drugged, it's like it seems like he was awake at some point.
Yeah, the idea that Homer's just like, well, I'm tied up. There's nothing I can do.
I mean, that is pretty much Homer
That's very
logic.
Homer.
Yeah.
That's very Homer.
Then see Bob tried to kill Bart, and Bart tries to flee, and as he's about to jump overboard, he sees there's a crocodile at the front of the boat. Then runs to the back of the boat, and there's electric eels. This prompts him to run back to the front of the boat, and we see that the crocodile's there, and Bart goes, oh yeah, that's there. Bob then asks Bart if he's got any last requests, and Bart sees the sign saying how far away Springfield is, and this puts an idea in his head, and he says no initially, and then Bob persists, and Bart says he sings like an angel, and then asks to leave.
I love the delivery of, no, really? As if he really is like, no, it's fine. Seriously, if you have a last request, fucking hit me.
So Bart wants him to sing the entire score of the HMS Pinafore, and Bob says he will do it, because he's going to send Bart to heaven before he sends him to hell, and then he puts Bart in a chair, and we then see Bob start, and it gets more and more elaborate as we get on, and
I
Bob
would
is
watch the shit out of this.
The Union Jack that comes down at the end, I'd forgotten about that too. It's so funny, man.
It was a hell of a stage production.
But at one point, Boy's eating popcorn, Bob's got props, and then we see by the end he's in a full English Admiral uniform, like, where did that come from? And the Union Jack flag falls down at the end, and Bart's reading the playwright. Then see Bart is clapping, Bob gets handed flowers.
I did notice that.
By the end, Bob starts to menacingly approach Bart in his Admiral uniform, saying it's time for the final curtain. At that moment, the boat crashes, and Bob is taken in by the police in their pajamas. Bob curses to Lucifer's beard, and Chief Wiggum says, it's a good thing you passed this brothel.
It's a good thing you passed this brothel.
I'll note on that scene because you're just racing through it at this point, but like, it's another one of those very good callbacks to an earlier bit, like kind of with the corn, I guess, is that, like, they were listening to Gilbert and Sullivan on the way there. This is why Bart was thinking about Gilbert and Sullivan, and like, you wouldn't be like, why would Bart request Gilbert and Sullivan? That's hardly the sort of thing Bart would be into. They listened to it all the way to Terror Lake while they were driving there. They had Gilbert and Sullivan on. They were listening to it on the tapes.
That's how Bart knew it would take that long.
I also like as well that Bart's plan doesn't actually work because he intends to get to Springfield. They don't. They just happen to pass.
They get just upriver of Springfield. Yeah.
The Springfield Police Department was in the brothel, so it must be fairly close to Springfield by that point.
No, but I'm saying, yeah, exactly. Bart's plan was just to get to Springfield because then he's safe in a child's mind, I guess. But he just, by pure chance, all of the... Why would you go to a brothel as a group? As police officers?
Because it's funny!
Why?
Police lads night out at the brothel.
Yeah!
Lads.
It's also, it lets us know a fair bit again about like who Chief Wiggum is in a way that I think is really, really funny.
I like how they're all in robes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Chief Wiggum is married, just to note.
It's true.
Yep. But he's dedicated. He might have spent money on that whore, but the law is far too important.
Take him away, toys.
Yeah.
Take him away, toy.
We then see that Bart explains what his plan was, and Homer says it was a plan fiendishly clever in its intricacies.
Intricacies.
Yeah, there was a good word there. That I completely fucked.
That is a phrase that lives rent-free in my mind. A plan fiendishly clever in its intricacies, which I think is a fun sentence because it's a sort of, I guess, a subversion of expectations, because like, you wouldn't expect those words to come out of Homer's mouth.
Oh,
whenever Homer says something smart, it's funny. It just is.
I love the legitimate theater.
Yeah, we had a whole episode that was just Homer saying smart things, and it was incredible just because I loved hearing Homer say smart things.
Yeah.
Well, he is a genius.
Bart orders the police to take Bob away, and Chief Wiggum corrects him and says, I'm the chief, and then says, bake him away, toys.
Take him away, toys.
Lou goes, what did you say, Chief? And then you just see Chief Wiggum annoyed to go, do what the kid says. We then see the family come home, and they drive home saying, I'm glad everything's back to normal, and then we see that Grandpa has turned into a woman.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so
the
pills were estrogen blockers?
It would very much appear to be the case, yes.
The way Grandpa just runs up and goes, look what happened with all my pills.
So is Abe Simpson Homer's mother?
Oh no, we'll get to those episodes.
It's a complicated relationship at the very least. Yeah. There are implications from this scene.
They're very trans-forward in Springfield, though, and I appreciate that.
It's one of those weird things where it's like, oh yeah, back then you would just make a joke that somebody is like trans or hiding that they are trans, and that's the joke.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It as a gag, seeing Abe, the idea that somehow there has been something hormonally going on that is keeping Abe a man. I don't know. This is a fascinating thing that I know they didn't think very deeply about
It's like
because
the
they thought it
bunny
would.
is.
They thought it would just, oh, this would be funny. Let's make Abe a woman, right? But it's one of those things where it's just like, oh yeah, this is what it was like back then. This is what it was like in 1993 or whenever this was. Yeah.
I think as well, just like to analyze the joke again, because there are like a lot of examples of, like, we've talked about Simpsons making like off-color jokes. We've talked about jokes like the Apu and his brother singing. We were like, is this racist? And we were kind of like, not really. It's just weird. And I think that for me, again, as like a fucking cis white dude, I don't see this joke as as one of the most egregious examples, because it's not the gag is lol, they're a woman. The gag is more the absurdity of that's why he needed his medicine.
100%, yeah.
And it's that kind of like, it skirts the line, I think, of any more than that, and it would have been offensive, but I don't know.
There are definitely some, like, actually crossing the line quite bad transphobic jokes in The Simpsons later to come. This is not one of them. This is just absurdity.
Yeah.
Like, somehow Abe's hormones have suppressed his lipstick until now, apparently.
He's got lipstick on.
That's true, because also he's been outside this entire time.
Yep.
Maybe the wolves have some lipstick. We don't know.
And that what's his face shows up, like, it just happens to be there in a full like dapper outfit
with flowers.
Oh, barking off his balls. Jasper's there because he wants to court Abe. And as we go into the credits, we then see that Abe says, "There's something you should know about me," and I can't remember what tickets Jasper had, but that's enough for Abe, and we just hear the kissing.
Yeah.
Stephen Eady.
Stephen Eady. That's another musical theater joke. Stephen Eady, a famous Broadway couple who were in a number of Golden Age Broadway musicals.
Steve and Edie.
I thought it
was Steve.
Yeah, the way it's delivered, it sounds like Stevie. Yeah.
Nope, Steve and Edie. If you're ever interested in seeing some real high camp from that era of Broadway, go look up the Tony Awards performance of a show called Golden Rainbow. It is one of the tackiest things I have ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a show that Steve and Edie starred in.
I will note, Josh, that there was an episode in season 4 that was about musical theatre, and I hadn't considered getting you on it as a guest at that point.
Oh, well, for Streetcar, right?
Yeah. I regret not having you on for that because I wanted you to talk about that. But
That's another
I hadn't
one.
realized there was as much musical theatre as there was in this beyond.
It's
the Gilbert
because
and
these
Sullivan,
writers love musicals.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
you're
glad
not
I got you on for this.
Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet is an insane pull, as is Linda Lavin. These are jokes that are only intelligible to people like me, which is to say people who know too much about theater.
Okay. Fair enough. Well,
I'm glad you were here to
have
spot
you
these,
for them.
because Simpsons very rarely does these kind of jokes where it's like overly deep and only they'd get the reference. It's actually very rare for them to do that, so I'm glad you were here on the off chance that they did it. I'm very grateful.
I think it's possible that they're making those jokes more than you realize and you just don't pick up on them because of how culturally specific they are.
Nah, that can't be it. That can't be it.
Plenty of things that get mentioned, we all just like go,
Lisa
no
goes
idea what this
to
is.
Washington!
Like, especially in season 4, they really start doing this a lot.
I fucking hate that episode.
What did you think of this episode?
Oh, it's
Banger.
fucking banger.
Good, I'm so glad. Like, I was really worried you were not going to think this was bad, because every time I say an episode's a banger, you come in and go, nah, it was mid.
You were hyping up fucking Barbershop Quartet for so long.
Because it's good.
It's a great episode.
It's mid. It's mid.
No, it's not.
Totally mid. Nah, it's mid.
Baby on Board alone makes that episode S tier. I do not understand you, but you know what? We're not here to have a debate. We're here to discuss the delights of this show, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. No, but this is an absolute banger. Absolutely flies by. Constant jokes, good laughs. Pure like Simpsons absurdity. Nah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think this is almost like fair to say unequivocal banger, because like this makes people's top lists constantly. Who asks people to name their top Simpsons episodes? This is almost always on there.
Well, and I mentioned Mr. Burns sort of at the beginning of this episode, and the reason that Anne Washburn picked that specific episode for the play is that it's one of those ones that everybody remembers a little bit about at the very least, because so much of the beginning of that play is that they're trying to piece together an accurate reconstruction of what happens in Cape Feare, right? And they mostly get it right, but then they accidentally bring in a few details from a few other episodes. And I think that if you were to ask your average Simpsons fan to, describe what happens in Cape Feare, they would do something similar. It's so iconic. It is like the ultimate example of the writers and animators and voice actors firing on all cylinders. But the specificity of it, which jokes are specific to this episode, other than the rakes and the elephants, you might not remember what they are.
Yeah. We've had that a lot in the last few episodes, actually, where both me and John have said, I didn't realize that bit was in this episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of standalone gags that just like are great on their own and end up, because of the sort of the meme and remix culture that we live in these days, have kind of taken on a life of their own outside of The Simpsons. They're just clipped as GIFs or short video clips and shared endlessly. And like the context, the broader context of the episode is long since lost, and you just know the bit.
Yeah,
right?
like any of the Mo bits, like the whale bit I mentioned earlier. I don't know anything about the episode. I just remember that bit.
Yeah. Have we got any scores out of Homer for this?
I think it would be remiss of me, Mr. Grumpy Pants, to not give my first Homer out of Homer this early on in the season, but it is absolutely a Homer. This episode is fucking fantastic.
Wonderful. Josh, would you like to give us a Homer out of Homer?
You give five homers.
Five homers. Five homers.
Five homers and a Bart, yeah.
Gives it a Lisa, we're in trouble.
Michael?
Oh, it's a Homer. It's absolutely a Homer.
It's a Homer for me as well.
The rake bit alone, and
Bob's
Kelsey Grammer singing the entire HMS Pinafore makes it phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean all the HMS Pinafore stuff, like I think has it's a weird one because it has instilled in me a lifelong desire to see Gilbert and Sullivan, and yet at the ripe old age of 37, I have still not yet actually achieved ever watching any Gilbert and Sullivan, so I really need to rectify that.
I think you've got to clarify it as you want to see Kelsey Grammer do it. You don't want.
I mean, I don't know, like
I'll listen to Kelsey Grammer read the fucking phone book.
I mean, look, I'm a theater guy. I think Gilbert and Sullivan is fine. If you're going to prioritize, what theater you should be seeing, I personally would not put Gilbert and Sullivan toward the top of the list.
Fair enough. I have a lot of love for the Major General song. That's my main thing.
Don't
I did at one point learn it, and I probably could not attempt to do it again now, but at one point I did learn it.
Fucking nerd.
Yep, I am. Alrighty, did this episode have much to say about society?
I mean, I think there's the obvious joke about like how prison isn't meant to reform, simply punish and then make money, but it's never really like spoken about. It's just a joke, and again, like the brothel joke with the police, like the ineffectiveness of the police willing to skirt around the law. Those jokes are made, but the episode isn't about it, and I don't think it's trying to be. It is just pure Simpsons gag fest, and they haven't married the two yet of like doing a Homer episode that is also really poignant.
Yeah, I noticed about the police looking up stuff in a book, which I think was more knowing than the writers themselves probably even knew. I think they were just doing lol, Wiggum stupid, but also like, no, shit, that's literally actually what police do. They look shit up all the time because they don't know the law themselves.
They failed to understand that the witness relocation program is actually a program of the U.S. Marshals, not the FBI. That doesn't mean anything.
Oh.
But
I don't know that.
I actually, they usually pay attention to that kind of detail, so I'm sort of surprised that they didn't in this case.
Yeah.
Not that it means anything. I really don't think it does.
Did they mention it being FBI specifically?
Yes, multiple times. The FBI brand Gilbert and Sullivan.
Of course it was.
Because the FBI is in charge of, as their name would imply, investigations. the U.S. Marshal Service is in charge of actual law enforcement, and that includes, prosecuting, like taking the really serious criminals and putting them in jail. It involves protection of civilians, and also witness relocation is part of that.
Okay. Well, today I learned.
The more you know.
Cool. Anything else to add, or shall we move on to Homer Goes to College?
I'm surprised how good my drink tastes.
Good.
You're telling us.
Alrighty. Homer Goes to College aired originally on October 14th, 1993.
I am
Anything
alive!
noteworthy on this day? You were alive last episode. Are you just going to shout this every single episode that you're alive on now?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Every time we get around the September-October region, I'm gonna remind everyone what age I am.
Well, speaking of life, I have nothing of significance this day except a lot of people got murdered.
Oh, excellent!
Oh my god.
But I was alive. The universe had to compensate for my
one in, one out.
existence.
Who got killed?
Guy Malari, the Haitian lawyer, Minister of Justice, and Mustafa Abada, the Algerian TV director. Bertie Clark died, but it doesn't say anything about him being murdered. He was a West Indian cricket.
He was 75. I think that was just a life thing.
Still life.
Take That is still the UK number one, and Mariah Carey is still the US number one.
Good for them.
You don't mean that.
No, I don't.
Right, so apologies if my Disney Plus screwed me over, but I don't have a chalkboard gag for you.
There was neither. It just goes straight into it.
There is one.
Sometimes.
There is one. I
There's a
downloaded
couch
because.
gag, but not. Is there a chalkboard gag?
Sorry. I was thinking of I think there also is a chalkboard gag, actually. I have one of the old rips. I can go take a look real quick, but I'm pretty sure there is one.
Wikipedia does not even note.
Okay, maybe there isn't one then. I was thinking about the couch gag because they fucking do Monty
Yeah, it's
Python.
Monty Python.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was about to get to that. They do have a couch gag, and it's the Monty Python foot couch gag.
Yeah, I think basically the opposite problem of the circus gag problem is whenever they run a bit long, they just trim the titles down. Because the titles, as we've observed
They're
many
very
occasions
fucking
early
long.
on, they are long titles. So, like, if they need to trim the episode, a good place to lose some length is the title sequence. So, yeah, the chalkboard gag was a casualty this time.
We cut to the start of the episode, and we're at the Springfield nuclear plant, and everybody is having
It's
a
nap
good
time.
old nap. Homer's snoozing, Lenny's in a hammock. Homer inadvertently presses the self-destruct planet button, which just happens to be on his console.
This is good because, like, you think it's a Homer thing. It's like, oh, Homer's sleeping on the job, but no, they show the entire
Everyone
plant
is.
has a nap time,
Including Mr. Burns, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We should all embrace afternoon naps. I think we can all
Yeah,
agree.
we should.
Everyone should have an afternoon nap.
Siesta culture, yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So the dog saves the power plant by pulling down the lever, and the voice
Where the
itself
fuck is
actually
this dog?
thanks him.
Where did this dog come from, man?
Convenient dog for gag.
Why not
gag
just
dog.
have Santa's little helper, though?
You can't bring your own dog to
Yeah,
work.
come on. This is the plant's dog.
This is Old Yeller. And the voice thanks the dog because after he averts the meltdown, and we
Meltdown averted. Good boy.
We then cut to Mr. Burns sleeping, and we see that Smithers is curled up at his feet and doing the twitch like he's a dog himself.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at that moment, the nuclear inspection team comes, and we then see them knock on the door, and Burns is horrified to realise that nap time has been interrupted.
How dare you?
Smithers sleeping at his foot like a little cat, by the way. Also a very good gag.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Smith, he is Burns sexual.
But we then see the agent reveal that this is a surprise test of the worker's competency, and Mr. Burns tries to pretend that it's a cookie factory. And, as he begins to describe his good time extra chewy cookie, we then see
Get the axe.
one of the inspectors show up and
Break in
start
with an axe.
break in with an axe. We then see the tests going on outside, and Mr. Burns calls the watchdog of public safety the lowest form of life, and Smithers assures him that he's taken the less gifted employees and locked them in the basement. We then cut immediately to Homer and two other gentlemen looking at a bee, and Homer takes great pride in the fact that he's the head bee guy.
Knocks it over.
At that moment, he immediately breaks it, and the other guy's quite sad that they've failed in their task, and we then see Homer
we did
chasing...
bad.
We don't just see Homer running down the corridor chasing this bee. We then see that it's Homer's turn for the test, and Smithers says, "Oh, he couldn't be here." Get the gag.
No, I don't get
Love
it. Can you explain?
Because Homer was looking after a bee.
Oh, right. Okay. I get it now. Right. Thanks.
Burns uses his own excuse that Homer's delivering a conference in Geneva about nuclear safety, and Burns says, "Yep, that'll stick." At that exact moment, Homer unfortunately comes out to a manhole and reveals that the bee has stuck him on the bottom, and now his bottom is big.
The bee bit my bottom, now my bottom's big.
Let's see that Homer's now
Good
in
line.
the nuclear inspector test, and they say, "Don't worry, we just want to see how you get on." We then see Homer is going into complete panic, and they tell him, they reassure him that he can't do anything wrong because it's a simulation, and Homer just decides to press buttons blindly until they let him go. At that moment, the van starts violently shuddering, and the safety inspector is just like, "No, this can't be happening."
Yeah, the entire van starts glowing green, and this is
Melts to
great
the
too because as we soon learn, there is no nuclear material in this training simulator, but Homer somehow still managed to make it go radioactive. Fantastic.
That bad at his job is great.
Burns runs to the escape pod, and Smithers is banging, saying there's 2 seats, but Burns wants to put his feet up. But then,
Yeah, I like to put my feet up.
I didn't expect to see Burns's like weird secret chamber again.
we don't see the safety pod launch, but it immediately crashes, and we just see it bouncing down the road.
Just, I think it's just made that much funnier as well with Burns repeatedly making like pain noises.
Yeah, I mean they're sort of picking up. This is picking up right where Sideshow Bob left off with the rakes. Like there's just something inherently funny about hearing somebody continuously getting injured.
Yeah.
I think that one will come up in a very close coming episode of The Simpsons. We then see Homer climb out of the hole, and he's glowing green like the Hulk as he says he's going to destroy mankind. Then realizes it's lunch and immediately shakes the radiation off him.
Yeah,
Where's my burrito?
He has the superhuman ability to just shake off nuclear radiation. He's been there that long.
He's been exposed to it for so long that like he can be in a nuclear meltdown.
I mean, it
Be
makes
fine.
sense when you think about it. He tosses a nuclear rod off of his back at the beginning of almost every episode. This guy has taken a lot of radioactive damage, or would have, had he not somehow developed a natural tolerance for it.
That is, I believe, how the immune system works. Like you can just be immune to radiation.
Yeah,
if
work
you
for
hang
Marie
out
Curie.
around enough radiation, you will become immune. Try it,
Right.
kids.
Right.
As the inspector wonders how Homer has caused the accident with no nuclear material in the van, Burns bluntly says, "Oh, it's time for your bribe." He then offers him a washer and dryer, but, "Oh, you can trade it in for what's in the box." The inspector immediately wants the box.
I wish they'd played music as well to like add to it.
Smithers,
He's a great guy, but-
Smithers being the like
Yeah,
presenting
the
it,
price
you know,
goes.
like on The Price is Right. Fantastic.
As described as where the lovely Smithers is standing.
Yes,
Lovely
yes.
Smithers. Yes.
Great line.
As the other inspector, after the other inspector wants to choose the box, says,
The box! The box!
says Burns can't buy his way out of this. Mayor Quimby just shows up for no reason wearing a very expensive fur mink coat and says there'll be no investigation, then immediately leaves.
And I'm going to go away.
It's still got the $5,000 price tag on it, just so that you know that he has been bribed with this fur coat.
Yep.
The original inspector says that they've got enough details to take legal action against the plant if Homer doesn't get his college training that he requires to do his job, and Burns says he thinks the feeling that they're going to drop the charges. He opens his trapdoor, but it opens in completely the wrong area of the office. Turns out his desk was moved because the painters came.
Which as well, if you're a savvy like viewer, you would notice that his desk has been moved. Because his
is very
desk is
true.
normally in front of the window. So his desk has actually been moved. They don't just do
shit. That was
the
attention
bare
to
minimum
detail.
of
Yeah.
the gag. They do the full thing.
Fantastic attention to detail by the animators.
We then cut to Homer being visited by Burns and his army of lawyers, which immediately gets Homer to scream.
My lawyers and I were in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I thought we'd stop by. Blanche then invites them in for tea and marshmallow squares, and the lawyers get into a huddle to discuss it. And they go, yeah, yes, we would.
Yes, he would.
Yes, he
They
would.
Yes, he would.
agree-
Yes.
he would. I love that.
We then see that Burns tells Homer that he's got to go to college and complete Nuclear Physics 101 to keep his job. He then also goes into a spiel about how Homer needs to find the Jade Monkey before the next full moon.
He
So
said
weird.
there was a line that Homer's like, "Do you want me to go to college?" And Bart says, "Barber or clown."
Barbara Clown, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
While
I missed
drinking
that.
coffee.
Weirdly, yes, true, but also weirdly foreshadowing Homer going to clown college.
Yes, true.
Which he
Two
will do.
crusties. Wait,
Yep.
4 crusties.
mirrors assures Burns that they have found the jade monkey because it was in the glove compartment with the road maps and the ice scraper. This weird little bit just goes, and Burns says everything is falling into place. Never referenced again.
Also, doesn't this mean that the plant needs to shut down for multiple years while Homer takes a degree?
I mean, how much did Homer actually do at the nuclear plant anyway?
The dog was doing the heavy lifting.
If he needs a physics degree, if he needs college education, that's several years.
They've got the dog. What more do you need?
Then see that Homer's in bed, and he tells her that he was thinking about. He always wanted to go to college, but fate stood in the way. And we get the flashback to Homer about to sign the form, which would have basically took him to college. But he saw a dog outside the window with a ham, and he had to go investigate the scene. And we just see Homer in the background trying to get this ham off.
I drank some very good beer.
But he didn't eat some very good ham because the dog was not letting that go.
You wouldn't eat that ham, man. You shouldn't.
Homer would have eaten that ham. Homer
would have eaten the ham, but you shouldn't eat the ham.
We then cut to Homer trying to fill in his college applications, and Lisa offers to help, and she says, "What's your favourite 3 books?" And we then see Homer say, "TV Guide, Son of Singlet, Katharine Hepburn's Me," and Lisa's not having any of them, and Homer just declares that he sucks.
Again, Katharine Hepburn. Like, you can tell what the cultural milieu is of these writers. They love old queens and like just these grand dames of the American theater and cinema, I suppose.
Also, just clicked on the link to Son of Sniglet on Wikipedia, which redirected me to a sniglet, which is a humorous word made up to describe something for which no word exists. So that was a surprisingly smart joke that I did not get.
We're going to cut to Homer actually writing his application, and it starts with the lines, "It was the most I ever threw up, and it changed my life."
Oh, God, yeah.
I love Matt praising it.
Homer then pastes his photo, which is him cramming an entire birthday cake into his mouth, and
with the camera red eye.
Just got that on deck in his pocket. Like, well, I need a photo of me. Oh, well, here we go.
Just in case, guys.
Bob wonders if that's the best picture, and Homer says it won't make a difference. And then we see Homer's picture immediately blown apart.
Well,
he looks insane.
And a nice little subversion of expectations there, too, is that you think they're going to read his essay first, and then the photo is going to be the thing that makes them be like, oh, no, never mind. Here, they see the photo, and they're like, don't even worry about that essay. We don't want to let this guy in, or whatever the line is. Really good.
Then see that Homer comes home and then tells Bart that he's got to watch a vital program about college, and it turns out to be the movie School of Hard Knockers.
Can I mention the ad that was on before that?
No.
Oh,
finally, the great taste of Worcestershire sauce in a soft drink.
Yeah.
Yes!
Steaky.
Yes!
Steaky.
I'm fascinated by Josh going, yes, yes, because my initial reaction was that, Jesus, do Americans know what Worcestershire sauce is?
Of course we fucking know what Worcestershire sauce is.
Yeah. Say it, though.
I can't say it, yeah.
I can say it numerous different ways. I can say I can say Worcestershire. I can say Worcestershire. I can say Worcestershire. It's whatever you want, baby. I can say it as many ways as you want.
I always sort of assumed it was something that never left the borders of the country, if I'm honest.
No, I would say
it's in Shrek, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to ask your average American about, like, brown sauces, right? Like, I don't think your average American has ever had HP sauce. No. But Worcestershire sauce, absolutely. It's commonly used in a number of drinks, too. Like, you get a Bloody Mary, oftentimes you're going to be putting a little bit of Worcestershire sauce in it, so.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never thought a Bloody Mary sounded appealing, and now it sounds less appealing.
You ever had one?
No. I was tempted to have one when I was in the States, but
you gotta. Or go up to Canada and have a Bloody Caesar, which is like a Bloody Mary, except rather than using like tomato juice, it's Clamato. Either way, fantastic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I hate North America. What a weird place.
The movie School of Hard Knockers, which is pretty much every 80s film that was doing the rounds.
Yeah.
It follows a pretty simple thing of the President of the United States just coming for a random college inspection, and the dean says, don't worry, he's got rid of Chug-a-Lug House.
Did anyone else think they should have just had Skinners and Chalmers voice these characters?
Is it not Harry Shearer?
It might be, but they don't do Skinner's voice.
And not the specific voices, though, right?
Oh, the dean was Harry Shearer, okay.
Yeah, I think they should have had the actual voices of Principal Skinners and Superintendent Chalmers. just for me, I think it would have been a fun parallel. But...
Right.
Homer immediately decides he doesn't like the dean, and we then cut to the jock and the nerd, and we see that they release a bra bomb, and the dean curses Corey and tries to assure the president, but the president is too busy dancing in the bras and saying he's going to make that youngster a part of his cabinet of getting down.
Getting
see
down.
The dean growls at the thing as the bra falls on his head, and Homer takes great triumph in that.
This is also such a specific cultural moment in American history. Is these like crusty old dean gets foiled by the nerds type movies?
Yeah.
You don't really see that very often anymore. But there was a period in time where this kind of movie was all that Americans could ever.
It's a very late 1980s film,
yes,
isn't it?
yes.
I mean, like, I felt like this parody of it was surprisingly tame for that style of movie as well.
I mean, it kind of has to be, you know.
I guess,
But,
yeah.
You can't put bare breasts out.
Yeah, it's called School of Hard Knockers, and then no boober.
School of Hard Knockers is a fantastic title, though.
No casual, borderline sexual assault going
There's
on.
no boober. Why not?
Adult animation hadn't been invented yet.
Then see that Marge brings home his college applications, and we then see Homer go through all of them, and it's just a series of does until he finds out he's got an ad for a hardware store. But unfortunately, that's the end. Bart asks Homer what he's going to do, and Homer says it's something he should have done a long time ago, and then Marge says, "You don't know, do you?"
This
Homer
was
just
so
meekly goes,
funny.
"Nope."
It's just, again, another, like, subversion joke of just... Because you just... Again, you're like, are you gonna say... Homer, you gonna say something? And then Marge is like, you don't know, do you?
He doesn't need to worry because Burns has a chair at Springfield University, and then we cut to Burns' very ominous
His large
chair,
chair. His extremely large
That
chair.
comes with a dog.
which has skulls of the angels taking people drinking down to hell in the carvings.
Yeah, I
It's quite
described
the
this
thing.
chair as Bowser coded.
Bart don't want to let Homer into the college, and Burns just starts to use an analogy about them having to work like a baseball team. Smithers hands Burns a bat, and Burns says it can only work as long as everybody's on the same page, and then starts trying to beat the hell out of the recruiters. Fortunately, Burns has no force behind it, so he's very lightly tapping him with the bat.
I like the dude trying to talk back to him, and he's just like, stop that.
Eventually, they just basically said, if you want him that badly, we'll take him. And Burns collapses and then tells Smithers to dismember the corpse.
With the corpse and send his wife a corsage.
Then come back to Homer, and Homer is delighted to be a college man, which prompts him to immediately burn his college diploma. And we just see the
High school.
walls, his high school diploma. And then we just see Homer start to dance, declaring he's so smart after misspelling smart while he's doing it.
SMRT, and then he misspells it again.
Which is, as the wall just immediately catches fire behind.
Also worth noting is another one of those bits that's taken on a bit of a life itself outside the episode, because I know the line SMRT, but like I don't think I could particularly have pointed to which episode it came from at any point. But also, this line was a blooper. They didn't intend to record this line.
Really?
Oh, that's
That's so
amazing.
good.
This was Dan Castellaneta, like, misspelling smart, like, trying to deliver the line, and they were like, oh, no, wait, that's better, leave that in.
That's so Homer. He's just become Homer. He's channeling it.
We then see Homer being driven to college, and he says it's his first day of college, and he wishes his dad was alive to see us. This prompts Abe to pop up on the back seat, and Homer asks how long he's been in the car.
3
and says,
days.
3 days. Homer immediately shouts nerd at a student walking past, and Marge says that's not nice, and Homer goes into the logic of he's a jock, and it's his duty to give nerds a hard time.
I think
Then sees
that is one of those things that's, like, culturally leapt beyond the episode, because that's when, I don't know, just shouting nerd at nerds.
Yeah.
I think probably all been there at least once.
No, I've never been
No.
made fun of for my nerdy hobbies. I am, clearly pure jock energy always.
Oh, well, let me give you one, because I know you very well. Nerd!
Thank
Hey,
you. Dream come
You get a
true.
load of that nerd.
Excuse me?
It's very stupid.
It's a really simple... It's just one of those really simple jokes of just... Yeah, you expect the dude to agree with Homer, and then he's... Excuse me?
We then see that the college fresh fun party is taking place, and Homer decides he's going to spite the punch. At which point, someone immediately tries to punch after him, goes onto the stage to announce that the punch has been spiked, and told everybody, "Don't worry, your parents are coming to collect you."
Your parents have been called and they're going to collect you, and everyone cheers.
Yes. This is the worst college ever. Everybody is a goody two-shoes.
Homer decides he's going to blame the dean for this because he's going to be a crusty, bitter old man. It turns out that Dean Peterson is actually a quite young, trendy, hip person that's overly friendly and wants everybody to come to his office to play hacky sack, and he used to be a bass player for the Pretenders. He plays a riff on the guitar.
That's great.
The Pretenders, again, like, just these polls are so specific, and there's something about it being the Pretenders specifically, where it's like, you weren't just part of like any band, you were part of like a really cool, like British American new wave kind of outfit.
Yeah.
I mean, also the Pretenders have had like quite an astonishing number of band members over the years.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Could very easily have just slipped in there briefly at some point and be like, yeah, I play bass for the Pretenders.
Homer then says he can't wait to take some of that starch out of that stuffed shirt. Then we then see that Homer is in the lecture hall at the back, and the lecturer is an old man, and he makes a nucleus joke, which everybody laughs at.
Out
except
with the
Homer.
old in with the nucleus.
Yeah, what a weird voice, but it works.
He then inadvertently drops his notes, and we just get a good 30 seconds of Homer laughing at
God,
his
this
man
goes
while
on
he's-
for so long.
The professor then says that after every class he's going to hold a comprehensive review session, and Homer says, "Do we have to stay?" And he says no. Homer says that he can kiss his curvy butt goodbye. We don't just see the professor look out the window, and Homer's now chasing squirrels with a stick.
Just Homer's little giggle, man. It's so good. He's just so happy in his element with the squirrels.
We then cut, and Homer has made a bookcase out of cinder blocks because this is what they're doing on campus.
And decorated
Does
the room
Marge-
with like very studenty posters.
That are all kind of fitting for a physicist student, which is fun.
He shows Marge it's not costing him anything because he swiped the cinder blocks from a construction site. We then cut to the construction site, and we then see it was the site of a children's hospital. And we did see the worker come up with the
I'll go
hat
tell
in his
the
hands,
children.
looking very full on, saying they can't build the hospital because 6 cinder blocks are missing, and the foreman just goes up to tell the children.
This is one of a number of jokes in this episode that feels, in a way, more like a Futurama joke to me. I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, I
But,
get
like-
you.
Yeah,
Totally.
I follow your logic.
But it particularly, just the college. I also just wanted to say, like, I think that the episode where Fry goes to college is it's one of my favorite episodes of Futurama.
Oh yeah.
And
It's an amazing episode.
as much as I do enjoy this episode, I think it pales in comparison to the Futurama episode.
Oh, you can't beat a talking monkey, can you?
No, you can't. You just can't.
Well, you can with a stick.
Well, you shouldn't.
You can though.
No.
Oh,
No, you just manipulated him into falling off a cliff. We don't see that back at the professor's demonstrating how proton acceleration works, and Homer says that he's used that equipment for 10 years, and the professor invites him to come down and show him, which proves to be a bad thing, as we then see that the entire campus is now glowing green, and Homer walks out glowing green again and tells the
The cleanup
physicists come
crew.
to deal with it, that it's in there, and they thank him.
I love the idea that Homer causes this so often that the like nuclear response crew know him by name.
yeah.
right.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Homer.
it's fine.
In there, guys. Thanks, Homer. Yeah.
I mean, it might also just be his buddies at the plant who also go take care of other nuclear-related matters, you know?
I guess. I definitely read it as the nuclear response team knows Homer because
Yeah.
he's caused so many issues.
That makes sense, yeah. Either way, yeah.
The dean tells Homer he doesn't blame him for the accident, but suggests that he go do some tutoring and gives him a list. Homer says that the dean is ominously to himself that the dean's won this round, but the war isn't over.
You
We don't
were
see
a
the-
butthead.
The dean's phone rings, and he gets called a stupid head over the phone, and he looks out the window, sees it's clearly Homer from a payphone, and we then just see Homer.
He does take him up on the list of tutoring advice, though, and like seeks
Yes.
out some nerds.
Nerds.
Homer goes to his new tutors, and they see that they're answering him in robotic voices, and Homer just goes on that he's supposed to get a physics tutor, and they start doing the Monty Python nights that say knee bit, and Homer goes, heh, knee.
Which, again, a callback to our couch gag at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of Python in this.
Well, maybe they made the joke in the episode and then they thought, all right, well, they've mentioned Monty Python, so let's do a couch gag that's Monty Python because that's the easiest way to shoehorn in another Monty
I
Python
feel
gag.
that's quite likely, yeah.
Not a bad thing, obviously. I love that gag. I love the giant foot. Yeah, it's probably how it went.
We then cut to Homer talking to the family about his new friends as he talks about playing Dungeons and Dragons and points out he was then slain by an elf. Bart then says that he's hanging out with nerds, and Homer says, "You take that back," but Marge then points out to him that they're very clearly nerds.
It's probably one of my favourite Marge lines in a while. It's just Marge saying that they're very clearly nerds. So good.
Lisa then tells him not to fear nerds, and she goes through a list of people, which includes the Supreme Court Justice David Souter, and Homer's response to this is, "Oh, no, not Souter."
Not Souter.
Yeah, it's a long-running gag of Homer being surprisingly familiar.
He has an
with
encyclopedic
Supreme
knowledge
Court
of the U.S.
justices.
Supreme Court. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We then see that Homer's not putting any effort into his studies, and the nerds are mocking him, and saying, "You can't put the entire periodic table onto your hand."
Including all known lanthanides and actinides. Pfft, good luck.
Fucking idiot.
Homer then says that he's going to take the nerds out to party, and they tell them, "Don't worry, we're going to put on snow pants." We then see that Homer's loading the car full of beer, and Lisa says he wants him to take Bart and Lisa. Homer says he doesn't want to because they're college guys and up to no good, and then it turns out that Gary has spilled his ear medicine.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
outrageous,
guessing
Gary.
this is meant to kind of harken to, again, those movies of that era of the guy trying to be cool to his new college friends, and then his mum makes him take his like little brother and sister or something. But you know, because the way Homer says "but Marge" really harkens back to "but Mom" to me anyway.
Yeah.
We then cut to the peer-fueled mayhem has actually just turned out to be a trip to the petting zoo,
petting
as everyone
zoo.
is now wearing hats. Lisa's very psyched that they got to feed the baby ducks, and one of the nerds says he had to go to the bathroom, and Lisa's annoyed because they stopped 5 minutes ago, but someone knocked on the door so he couldn't go.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Have we, though?
Well, some of us may have.
Nah, I'm a very comfortable pooper and peer, man. Public like restaurants, I'm chill.
Oh,
Okay.
good to know.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, your mileage may vary, I guess, depending on, like, the country, because this is America, and America, for some reason, puts massive gaps around the stall doors so that everybody can just look in at you.
Yeah, everyone can still see you.
It is. I don't know why. In newer construction that I've seen, they don't do this as much. But
Good to
older
know.
construction, it's not very private at all. I guess it's because they don't want people having sex in the stalls. I don't really know.
Is that it? Oh my
I don't
God,
know,
that's
Well, it might be
maybe.
another anti-homelessness thing as well.
I
Like,
think
there's
it's and probably also an anti-homosexuality thing. Now that I think about it,
Also that
Oh,
too.
maybe.
they don't want dudes sucking each other off in the bathroom.
Well, but we learned from last episode, you can tell by their outfit, though. So if they just paid attention to their outfits, they wouldn't have to
Right.
worry.
We'd see Homer is trying to suggest a prank to get the nerds' social lives up, and his first prank is suggest kidnapping Nadine, rolling him up in a carpet, and throwing him off a bridge.
Sounds a lot like murder, if I'm honest, but
Yeah,
you
it's
sure
very
you
much
do you,
murder.
Homer.
Bart interjects and then says he's got his plan, and his plan is that they kidnap the Springfield A&M mascots and
Is
oink a lot.
when Bart does the chalkboard scratch
Mm-hmm.
and does the face,
Mm-hmm.
is that a reference to like a specific thing? Because that's a very specific face.
Jaws.
I mean, the chalkboard scratch reminds me of Jaws,
It is
obviously.
Jaws.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
Jaws.
meant to be Jaws?
Mm-hmm.
That,
Yeah.
I mean, they tried, I guess. Oh, because the pig's drawn on the chalkboard, and the shark was drawn on the chalkboard in. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's just why the face though? He doesn't make that
Robert
face.
Shaw made a face.
I didn't
Because he
particularly
didn't-
note Bart's face.
Because it looks funny.
I guess.
It's a gag. I feel like it, in general, when it comes to this era of Simpsons, if you get to the point where something is not an obvious reference,
It's just
and
a
it's
gag.
like, why did they do that? It's because they thought it would land well and just
Yeah.
intuitively make you laugh. Because again, I think it's things that made them laugh. And in some cases, the things that made them laugh are because of their specific frame of reference and media diet. And so it doesn't always land. But this is also the thing that I really like about this era of Simpsons is that it's so very, very clear that if the joke doesn't land for you, they don't particularly care.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, they are very happy to just be in their own little circle. And again, that's what makes good comedy usually, is if you find it funny, someone else will find it funny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can look at other comedy stuff with this as well. Like, generally speaking, when Saturday Night Live is really cooking, it's because they thought an idea would be funny. And then when the bits that used to be funny start to get annoying, it's because they keep trotting them out over and over and over again because they know they're going to make the audience laugh.
Well, then show some photos of Sir Oink's lot, including the one where he was giving Richard Nixon a honorary degree. Remember that one?
We mentioned a couple episodes back that they wanted to get former presidents on, and they suddenly seem to be like not exactly getting them on, but like shoehorning a lot of gags in where they get to play with former presidents a bit.
I mean, and then another thing that would go on to be a great tradition in Futurama.
Oh, of course, yeah.
We don't see that Bart suggests that they kidnap the pig, and Homer then says that they should roll the pig up in the carpet for it off the bridge, but no one's going along
I just
with
loved
that
everyone's
still.
horrified expression.
We then see that they managed to successfully steal Sir Oink a lot, and then Homer starts playing with his tail, even though everyone says, I don't think he's enjoying that. And
This
Homer's
was
like, "Yeah,
just
it's fine."
uncomfortable and weird.
The pig eventually bites Homer, and Homer has to be restrained from harming him.
Proper, like, cartoon sharp teeth as well. It's great.
We then see they're keeping the pig in a supply closet, and the pig's acting a bit funny, and it's revealed that he and Homer split a case of malt liquor together.
Genuinely thought they were going to kill the pig. Genuinely thought they were going to kill the pig.
Pig collapses, and Nadine immediately knows that sounds like a pig.
I feel like if any animal could handle drinking, I feel like it would be a pig.
Yeah, but it's malt liquor, though. It's not a 6-pack of beer, maybe, but we then see that the pig gets airlifted away, and the dean reveals that he's had to expel them because the pig had some powerful friends, and then we see Richard Nixon come in and say, "Oh, you're gonna pay."
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't do a Richard Nixon impression before anyone asks.
I mean,
Anyone
the
got a Nixon on deck?
Futurama Nixon is, it's me, Richard Nixon. Oh!
That's your man.
So
Yep.
fucking intense.
Right there.
Yep, that's the one. Then Tomer apologises to the nerds for getting expelled, but nerds assure him, we can take after ourselves. At that moment, Snake comes up and says he's the wallet inspector, and the nerds...
Inspector.
Did the Simpsons invent the wallet inspector? People make references to the wallet inspector all the time. I didn't realize it came from here. If it
Probably.
did come from here.
Oh, I
Simpsons
guess
did
it
it.
did, yeah. I just assumed that this was a reference to the long-running scam where somebody, says, hey, let me check out your wallet real quick. But I guess this was what coined Wallet Inspector. That's crazy.
The nerds hand over the wallet, and Snake can't quite believe that worked. As he runs away, Homer says, "Hey, that's not the wallet inspector."
I actually remember there was one time where a guy tried to do the Wallet Inspector scam on me.
Really?
I was at some thing with a friend of mine, and this guy went up and was like, "Hey, do you want to play this game? The game's called Crosstown Shuffle, and basically the way that it works is that you need to if you just give us your wallet, we're gonna take it and then we're gonna run, and you have to come catch us."
Oh my god.
It's depressing how many people that probably called out. We see that the nerds have moved into the Simpson house because they've got nowhere else to go. Homer assures Marge that the nerds will solve all their problems and elevate them to the status of kings on Earth. We then cut to the nerds who all immediately have nosebleeds at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We then see that the Marge can't use the phone because of the modem. Remember that problem, folks?
This is the first time The Simpsons has acknowledged the existence of the internet, I think.
Yep.
And the nerds say that they're doing vital stuff, like talking about how Picard is better than Kirk, and the nerds don't agree.
Yeah, this kind of feels like a filler. This is like joke TK, and they couldn't quite figure out what they wanted to do. And this is like Kirk, Picard, whatever.
Then cuts to the kids, and we're about to see the episode where Scratchy gets itchy. We then cut, and Itchy is tied to a post, and the absurdity begins with him getting dynamite shoved underneath his eyelids, plastic explosive beard, a missile launched at him while TNT's around, hand grenade
Just
earrings.
explosives on explosives, yeah.
Itchy's got no answer to this. He's sweating nervously. Scratchy's offered a cab. Bart holds his hand and says his entire life has been building up to this.
I was
At the
so
moment-
surprised at how I didn't see this coming. What's about to happen? I'm amazed that I didn't see it
What, just
coming.
the nerds unplugging the TV, you mean?
Yeah, I just thought it was just going to be another episode of Itchy and Scratchy.
Well, you were
Well,
you were much like Bart and Lisa in that
Yeah.
regard. You were
was
stand-in for the characters.
Absolutely. I was
I
there.
was shocked in the first episode that Scratchy died, so I don't know how you were.
Look, I'm not a smart guy, okay?
There's no way it's gonna happen again.
At that moment, the TV turns off because the rock tumbler needs to go on, and the kids beg for it to be plugged in, and the nerd asks the rock tumbler of the TV. They reiterate the TV, and we cut, and the episode is just that.
Yeah, and Krusty coming back in here and be like, "Oh, they're never gonna let us show that shit again." It was like, yes, that's so funny, dude.
Just adding that little bit of extra to the gag. It's really clever.
Can I ask, did they ever actually like do this? Because obviously it's a send up of Tom and Jerry, but did they ever do this with Tom and Jerry? I have a weird, vague notion somewhere in my head that like this did play out in the same
where
context
Tom
in
gets
Tom and Jerry. Yeah.
They've had a couple.
I think there's a couple of episodes where Tom does get Jerry.
Yeah.
Doesn't kill him, but he wins the battle.
Right.
Like wins the day, as it were. Usually, what happens is Tom then feels bad.
As he should.
We then cut to
No, fuck Jerry.
we then cut to Bart, and Bart is sharpening knife, saying they're going to start digging some nerd holes. This is how quickly the situation has escalated. But Homer says, it's fine. I don't think we can all live in harmony. And Marge says, nope, I want those geeks out of the house.
Yeah, getting these lines from Marge is like rather good, actually.
It's really good.
We then say that Homer has a plan to get the nerds back into college with an even zanier scheme, and the nerds say, do we have to use the word zany? And Homer's plan is that they're going to save the dean's life. We then cut to the next scene, and Homer is driving his car like a maniac.
God.
And his plan is that the nerds are going to push the dean out of the way at
The problem is the nerds fail to calculate for wind resistance. That's really the issue.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So the nerds are waiting and have got 3 seconds to push him out of the way, but they didn't calculate for wind resistance.
For nerd resistance.
Well, as they're calculating it, we just see the dean get absolutely pulverized by Homer's car.
God, that was so just seeing the dean just go fucking ass over tea kettle was so good.
We then cut to the hospital, and Homer apologizes for the running you over prank, and the dean goes, prank. Homer then reveals that all the pranks were his idea, and he should take the blame. The dean is touched by his honesty and says, maybe I was a bit of an ogre, even though he did absolutely nothing wrong in any of this situation.
Oh, that poor guy. I feel so bad for him.
Which Homer then confirms, yes, you were. The dean then says he'll reinstate the nerds and forget the whole thing ever happened, and then Dr. Hibbert walks in with his artificial hip, which he immediately breaks.
I'm gonna have to go easy on it.
We then see that the nerds are back in their room, and they check their answering machine, which has 0 messages, and
they
happy about
sigh.
it.
I like that. They're like, oh, thank God.
Homer says he's happy that all loose ends have been tied up, and then we cut to the next scene of the classroom where Homer's learns that his final is tomorrow. Homer then points out it's like a college nightmare, and then he looks down and he's in his underwear. Everyone's had that nightmare.
Nope.
I don't think I ever have. No, honestly.
I haven't had it that I'm in my nightmare, or I have not had it in my nightmare that I'm only in my underwear. I have had it that I'm nude.
Oh, okay.
And also, just in general lately, I've been getting more of these dreams that I haven't finished, like my
Your
last
homework?
requirement, my last essay, my last homework,
Yeah, I
my
have
last
those
whatever.
all the time. I wake up like in a panic. I'm like, oh shit, and I go, well, I don't have homework.
I think the stereotypical like nightmare that I have is the not very often, but I've had it a couple of times. Is like the teeth falling out one.
Oh yeah, I have that one.
that's
Yeah, it's awful.
genuinely horrifying when you wake up and like, oh, thank God I do have teeth.
Thank God I still have my teeth.
My friends occasionally murder me in my nightmares.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
you were just gonna leave it before nightmares. To be honest, my friends occasionally try to murder me. Oh
And
damn.
murder you on a podcast by the
Heyo.
medium of humor.
Heyo.
I'm now eyeing the door suspiciously. Homer is asked what he's going to do, and Homer says his plan is that he's going to hide under some coats in the exam and hope that everything will work out. One of the nerds also offers that he can help him cram, and Homer says, either way is good. We then get a montage of Homer studying, which includes taking out a wheelbarrow full of books, having his eyes tied open, punching another nerd in the face when he tries to wake him up. But eventually this leads to Homer doing his exam, putting it down, and doing the nice clicking of the heels thing as he's leaving. He immediately gets an F.
Yeah, subverting our expectations once again.
But it also is it's almost an extra bit of funny subversion because of course he got an F. It's
Yeah.
Homer. So
Yeah.
you almost feel dumb for thinking that they were going to have him pass.
For expecting the normal, stereotypical good ending of
exactly.
cramming works.
So Homer is frantic because he's going to lose his job, and one of the nerds says, we can change your grade on a computer, and Homer says, computers can do that, and they start going through the
Raises
ethical
the question
questions
of
a
the
bit.
moral dilemma.
But then it's cut to Homer kissing a computer and then going, moral what? Then cut to the next scene and Homer's showing off his A. And he says, maybe I got some help from a little friend. And
Marge immediately
looks
knows
like
what he's
they
talking
take-
about.
Yeah.
Homer then starts going through the morals of the story, which are, he taught the nerds the value of college life, and they say, no, you didn't. Then he says, well, I learned that the real value of college is to study. And Lisa points out, that's also not what he did because he cheated. And Marge then says he's got to set a good example for Bart, so he's got to take the course all over again. Homer says, okay, it's back to college, and I guess it's time to, what did I teach you? And the nerds go, party.
Party down.
And we just get the montage of Homer going, yes.
Yeah, the freeze frame, like every good 80s movie should. I think more films need to end on a freeze frame, I've got to be honest. Needs to happen more.
We get a credits montage, yeah.
Yeah.
We get a montage through the credits as Louie plays, and it's so much time in college.
It starts with a few bits we've seen, like chasing the squirrels, running over the dean with a car.
I like to think he just did it all again.
Yeah.
Oh, right, he ran over the dean a second time.
I like that
pushed him.
he ended up flashing everybody at convocation. That was cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they've used that gag a couple of times in 80s movies.
To go on my little how I would rewrite Simpsons, because I'm clearly smarter, is if like with the whole 80s gag, I'm surprised that they didn't do a like freeze frame of each of the nerds and say what they went on to do. You know, like so and so became a blah blah. And
I feel like that's a
yes,
slightly different genre, though.
yeah.
Okay.
Like
That's
that's the thing. They're doing a very specific genre send up here of stuff like Animal House, and you don't
Yeah.
get that in those movies.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Animal House is very specifically what this episode is directly a send up of, yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's also an element of like as it was winding to an end, I was like, but Homer still hasn't actually got his college degree that he needs to keep his job. Like they do need to like reset to zero because it's The Simpsons and you can't like not do that. So they tie up that loose end with the credits and they show, yeah, as you say, him flashing at graduation with the implication that, well, he has at least graduated and therefore got what he needs.
The end.
The end.
Yeah. So what did we think?
It's a fun episode. It goes on. Like, it's long. This episode,
It does,
like,
yeah.
This episode could have basically ended after the pig gag. It just kept going. It's got a lot of great bits. Like, it's got some really funny moments, but it is interspersed with a lot of boring.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like counting acts, but like just it was broken up into so many bits that it feels like it like extended beyond a traditional 3-act structure. It kind of was like it just as you say, kept going. It's like, oh, okay, are we wrapping it up now? Nope, there's more. But wait,
I mean,
there's more. But wait, there's more.
It's leaning on parody for so much of its structure, and I think that's part of the issue here. Is that in order to sort of hit all the big beats of getting that stuffy old dean, there's a series of things that you have to do. But then they had a whole bunch of other stuff that they wanted to put in there as well. And so it simultaneously feels like overstuffed, but also underbaked, which isn't to say that it's not a funny episode. There's a lot of really good stuff in here.
Oh, it is, yeah.
But again, going back to, I think, there's also like the Family Guy where Peter goes back to college is also, I think, in a lot of ways a better structured episode than this. This is a classic thing to do in an animated show. And I think it didn't quite get there in terms of really hitting the marks, but it's fun. I mean, it's a Simpsons episode. During this era, you're not getting bad episodes out of The Simpsons.
No, I mean, also in this specific context, you maybe have to contend with the fact that we are explicitly stacking it up against Cape Feare, which is one of the best episodes of all time. It's like nothing is realistically going to stack up like very well against that.
Shall we give it some out of homers, lads?
Sure, let's do that.
I give it a college party out of Homer. I mean, I had fun, so I guess it was worth going.
Sure, fair enough.
I thought it was
Josh, go on.
funny. Fuck you, guys.
I give it 2 mo's. 2 mo's. You're gonna have a good time with it. then you're going to have a good time with it again, and then you're going to be like, all right, it's probably time to get going.
Paul Mo.
I'm going to give it a washer and dryer out of Homer.
You going to elaborate? Or...
Yeah, it's a sensible choice. I enjoy it, and I get to see the lovely Smithers.
Fair.
Okay.
That's
sure.
actually a really great way of describing this episode. It's a sensible choice. It's like, you could watch a risky episode, or you could just watch this episode that is okay.
I gave it learning nothing at all out of Homer.
Nothing at all.
Because I feel like that's just what it was. It was a pretty standard episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good. Like, we are in, like, Simpsons at its peak. Like, it was not remotely to say it was a bad episode in any way, shape, or form, but it was just another episode of The Simpsons, which,
Yep.
you know, punching above its weight compared to its contemporaries, but, like, standard for what it was.
Yeah, it's fair.
Cool. Did it have anything whatsoever to say about society?
I mean, it's another episode that you might be able to squeeze some kind of analysis out of, but I genuinely really wanted to just go play Monster Hunter at this point, so leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, I don't.
That's genuinely what I wrote in my notes.
It's
Yeah,
not a
fair enough.
strong. It's not strong commentary one way or the other. Nor is it trying to be.
No, like they've got a movie they want to riff on, and they're spending
Yeah.
their entire runtime riffing on one specific movie.
And I guess
was
you
about
could
it.
make the argument that this is like, you know, sort of a deconstruction of this kind of film, this genre, but it really isn't. They're not
No.
trying to take down Animal House. It's just that it provides the bones for something fun for them to explore.
Yeah, Simpsons
Yeah,
isn't
absolutely.
always trying to be clever. Sometimes they're just trying to be funny, and that's fine.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's probably going to just about do us for today. So, before we wrap up, Josh,
That's me.
where can people find more of what you do?
Sure. Well, if you're interested in hearing more of me, I co-host a show called The Worst of All Possible Worlds, and every week we talk about a different piece of media. The tagline for the show is Case Studies in the Pop Culture of a Dying Empire, and that's exactly what we endeavor to do. We look at the narratives of this media, we see the really explicit stuff that you obviously would notice, as well as some of the stuff that you might have missed along the way. And it's our hope that by continuing to do this, we can chart a course out of the worst of all possible worlds, because that is the title of the show. Also, if you are interested in just following me around, I am on Blue Sky at bosh.worstpossible.world, or you can go to my website, joshboerman.com, where I have links to whatever it is that I am up to at any given time.
Cool. Highly recommend listening to the Worst of All Possible Worlds episodes
Thank you.
on Christian radio dramas.
Oh, God. That's true. We have a particular fascination with a show called Adventures in Odyssey, which we generally describe as Evangelical Simpsons, insofar as it has now been running for over 3 decades, and it has extremely complicated characters and lore and backstory.
It's very good. Highly recommend. Matt, you got anything to promote?
Nah, leave me the fuck alone, man. I'll get to All for Arnold eventually. I'm gonna record it, I swear. Other than that, I'm on Blue Sky mostly tweeting about Monster Hunter. That's all that's been on my mind, man. Monster Hunter Wilds, holy shit, is that simultaneously a great and mediocre game at the same time. Yeah, I really know it's my fault that we haven't had another episode of All for Arnold, but at the same time, leave me alone.
Michael, what you got?
You can follow me on the Blue Sky at Bud and Mash Horse. And that's about it.
Cool. Follow me on Blue Sky at maroka.bsky.social. Follow my other YouTube channel at youtube.com/buttonmash for gaming videos. I don't know why I promote that. I haven't made anything in
Yeah,
ages.
when are you gonna do another gaming video?
Never.
bro? When
I'm a
you gonna-
podcaster
when you
these
gonna-
days. I've
Come on,
given
you
up
haven't
on
done
YouTube.
anything.
The content grind never sleeps. That's the thing that we all need to take away from this at the end of the day.
I sleep
If you
frequently.
you may sleep, I sleep too, but the grind doesn't.
My content grind is the podcast content grind these days. So, like, if you want YouTube content, subscribe to youtube.com/molemanpod, because that's the YouTube content you get from me these days.
Yeah.
And if you're already watching on youtube.com/molemanpod, consider there are audio-only versions available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well, where you should go and review us and leave us 5 stars and a comment about how great we are, because
Take us
the algorithm
with you
loves
on your
such things
daily
as these.
commute.
And that, yes, also good for your commute. If you have a commute that's 2 hours long, consider we can fulfill that need.
We can fulfill all your needs.
I mean, Matt might be able to fulfill all of your needs. I can't.
Hey, baby.
Make me an offer, see what happens.
Alrighty, I think all that remains is for us to thank Josh for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, been a delight to have you here.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you so much for
Thank you
having
very
me.
much for doing it.
And to thank the listeners for listening or watching if you're watching on the YouTube. And we'll see you with, I don't even know what episode's up next. Rosebud. We'll see you with Rosebud next time.
I wonder what
Cool.
film that's going to be talking about.
Alrighty, bye everyone.
Bye.
Farewell.
Bye, everybody.